welcome to episode 229 of the Overlook Hour. I'm your host, Clark Little. Along with me, as always, is the man over in Oakland. He's warming up his pots right now for a HelloFresh meal because we've been talking for quite some time. And he had what I'm going to call a very sketchy breakfast. It's Randy Michaelstaff.
I don't know if sketchy works, but it was a very light breakfast. I had, well, the piece of banana bread I had was rather large. And then about 2 hours later, I had 2 eggs. So yeah, I haven't eaten much today.
Now, is this...
And we were supposed to record at 12, so...
I mean, you both know that I've got no control over that. Second, what is this banana bread situation? Did you make this banana bread? Is this a creation of yours? Did you go out and procure the banana bread?
It's from a coffee shop down the street.
That's less interesting.
What kind of eggs we talking?
Just scrambled.
With cheese?
No, I don't have any cheese right now. Plus, I'm lactose intolerant.
He's got some lactose issues, Jahsaudi.
Yeah, everybody does. Fuck it. 2021.
There's medication for that, Randall.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't found that it works, really.
You know what, Randy? Let me send you a picture of some new milk pills that I've gotten. No complaints thus far. I take 2 instead of 1, and everything looks pretty good.
I might try it out. I don't know.
All right.
I have a complaint. That name is gross. Milk pills?
Milk pills
Milk
sound
pills?
nasty.
Joining us in this intro is Jahsaudi Perkins, fresh off a flight from Kentucky.
Yeah, baby.
All right, thank you, Jahsaudi. And joining us in each and every one of these intros is Oksana Valerina Osachi.
Hi.
Oksana, now we have changed roles for you. This week was your first time being in the room during the entire thing, where you had an objective, and that objective was to control the monitor, and you're sort of keeping us in the conversation. Anytime that we would have reference, you would have that up. Oksana, I will say on behalf of everyone in this room, you did a fantastic job. How did it go for you?
I feel like I made this show like twice as long as it would have been if Russell had been doing that.
I don't think so.
No.
I think that's 100% Jahsaudi's fault.
Yeah, it's my
actually,
fault.
I agree.
Joining us in the interview portion of the show this week is director Steven Kostanski. Steven joined us for a truncated version, as I mentioned this in the second portion of the show. We had a shorter interview time and opportunity with Steven, so we talked to him for about 20 minutes. So enjoy that as he talks about his film that comes out the day after this episode is released, Psycho Goreman. So we talked to Steven a good bit about Psycho Goreman and 1 or 2 of other of his features. So hopefully we can get Steven here in another episode here shortly. So more to come on that. But before we get to all those fun festivities, Oksana has to tell us about what's screening this week.
Well, my first one, you already mentioned. It's out on Friday the 22nd, Psycho Goreman, which is about... which follows 2 kids who find a gem that controls an evil monster looking to destroy the universe, and a young girl and her brother make him do their bidding. That's going to be out.
Utah monolith.
What?
Power through.
That'll be out Friday the 22nd, just on VOD. I think the physical release is later in February, I believe. Before that, though, on Tuesday the 19th, A Village in the Woods comes to DVD. It is, the synopsis is, every village, every person has a secret. None more so than the inhabitants of this isolated, murky village whose fate lies in the luring of 2 unsuspecting pawns to satisfy their appetite, and determine their being. I feel like that was very unclear.
So this is not a sequel to Cabin in the Woods.
No, it is not.
I thought we were going to have like a Shyamalan twist.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Not yet, no.
That's cool.
So that is going to be out Tuesday the 19th on DVD. That same day, a movie that I cannot find on IMDb will be out, available on VOD. It's the first release from, let me see, Dread Central of the year. This is our first release of 2021, is a thrilling take on Latinx horror, La Casa, from pioneering filmmaker Jorge Alguin.
It's a weird middle name.
Let's see. So it's going to be on VOD the 19th, Blu-ray February 2nd, and the synopsis is: responding to an urgent call for help, LaCosta tells the story of a police officer who becomes trapped by evil spirits of a cursed home. It looks like it's found footage. It definitely is shot like a found footage movie. That I think Russell found it.
He found the footage. Good job, buddy.
He found the IMDb listing. He's searching for an escape, so the cop has to battle malevolent forces. So that is out on VOD on the 19th.
For any questions, queries, concerns, or comments, please direct those to podcast@overlooktheater.com. Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, the other one. Find us, like us, comment, tell a friend, tell an enemy. It's not even my business what you do on your own personal time. The Overlook Hour is available on Facebook as The Overlook Hour. The Overlook Hour is available on Instagram as The Overlook Theater. And The Overlook Hour is available on Twitter as The Overlook Hour. Find us, like us, comment, tell a friend, tell an enemy. Jahsaudi.
Hey, all remember, kids, don't get KFC. That's Kentucky Fried Corona.
For Randy Michael Stat, Jahsaudi Perkins, Russell John Fisher, Oksana Valerian Osachi. I'm Clark William Little until episode 230. Boy, I'd kill to be 230 right now. I'm like 2 plus 3. I'm 500 pounds.
If you get 100 more, you'll be on my 600-pound life.
And then if I get, all right, we're at 600. Then if I subtract 593, I'll be at my favorite Will Smith film.
What?
7 pounds.
Nice.
Is that what we get at?
No.
No! Jahsaudi, what should be this week's tagline? Because I've retired Have Fun Lollipop, so I'll give it to you. We'll see you next week.
My sister says that mommy killed her. Mommy says that I don't have a sister. Why would mommy say that?
That went by really quick.
It's a very short 2-sentence horror story. This one, we, as Russell, you said last week, our listenership, we ran dry. So we had to go and procure this on our own. So we went to the darkest corners of the dark web. And this was written by our friend, I Am the Ass Butt.
That's a good Reddit name.
You know what? When you come into here and you have a name like I Am the Ass Butt, you get one of these.
Okay.
For sure.
Do you know my Reddit name?
What? Lord Battle.
No.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
part of it.
Dr. Lord Battle.
I got an adjective before.
Stupid Lord Battle.
Dude, Gothic Lord Battle.
Oh. You get one of these too.
It was a tribute to the Dark Lord King Cobra.
R.I.P.
Yeah. He brought me to Reddit.
He and Phil Spector passed away. Randy, how are you doing with your loss of Phil Spector?
I'm doing okay. He hasn't been very prolific in the last 20 years for some reason. So
His hair follicles have. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, you're banished for that.
All right. See you guys later.
Wow. That joke fucking lingered.
Have you seen his hair? It's a good joke.
No.
I was gonna laugh, but I was drinking.
Wow.
Damn.
Okay.
Thank you
What
so
the
much.
fuck?
Look at that! Come on.
Now, okay, we have Oksana in here and she's pulling up shit. I would have never pulled up Phil Spector. I'm glad you did. Are
Because you would have spelled him
I know.
F-E-W.
You're not wrong. Now are you recording the screen too? Okay. Maybe this will turn into YouTube content. I don't know. I had an idea that Clark quickly vetoed where we would put a security camera up in the corner of the room and just pretend like we didn't even know we were on film. And we would have Randy zoom in or Skype. We did it one time. And he would be on the monitor, which you could catch on the camera. See, it'd be right up there.
Okay.
I like that idea.
I do too.
He's too busy.
It was no
I was too
okay.
busy.
The original pitch I had was that we get We get 2 webcams. We have Randy on camera. Then we have the computer capture, and we just go De Palma and have like 40 different screens in one. But we don't do any editing.
Yeah,
they're just all live all the time.
Do not support this.
I
It's
like
like surveillance cameras.
What, Randy?
It's like surveillance cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
You just get to choose what you want to watch.
Yeah, I like a busy screen.
I don't like a busy screen.
I feel like I got like ADD and I can't deny it anymore.
You
like,
watch sports, you don't like a busy screen?
I'm telling you, the multi-game cast, I don't like that.
But it's just
On
a
one
one
screen.
normal game.
Now, okay, but I'll have multiple screens for that. I don't want multiple games on one screen. I can have 6 screens lined up. I'm fine with that.
So you need your screens separated.
Yes.
You like segregated
I
screens.
like segregated screens. Thank you so much.
dude, what if they all had their own screen saver? All right, we got to explore other buttons. That's the goal.
He got pubic hair on his head.
I told you, man. That's not yeah.
That's ramen noodles on his head.
Is that still Creepy Clark's?
No, because when you made the logo for that episode, I just put that as his.
I didn't make that logo. I
When
didn't even know that was happening.
when whoever made that logo.
When whomever.
I don't think that's correct.
I don't- they used to correct me on that all the time, and then I learned. So, thank you.
In this particular sentence, I think whoever. All right. Jahsaudi is joining us this week. Jahsaudi, you just came off an aeroplane, from what I understand, coming back from the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Yep.
You were out there for a while. You were shooting a film?
Yeah, working on a short film with my buddy Josh Eagle.
Now, does Josh Eagle, does he live in Kentucky?
No, he's from Kentucky. He lives in Oakland. So yeah, he wrote and directed a short film, and I went out there I was supposed to film. I was supposed to be second camera operator, and our buddy DeMondre Ward was a DP. As soon as we got ready for our first shot, my camera just would not turn on.
Oh no.
Damn.
Yeah. Like it literally, like before when we were setting everything up, it was turning on. It was turning on before we got there. When we got there, it was turning on.
So you've never had issues with this camera before?
Never had issues before. As soon as like we're ready to we're ready to roll, we're ready to slate and everything, it just doesn't turn on. And so I'm like, fuck. So we rolled the take. We're able to just do that part with one camera. I try to figure out what's going on with my camera. I was like, man, is it the cold weather? Because it was cold, but it wasn't like too cold. It was probably like around 40 degrees. And it was still like not working. We set up for the next shot, still doesn't turn on. So I shouldn't say demoted, but my position got changed from camera guy to sound guy.
Oh.
So I mean, it was dope. I'm still glad to be part of the project, and we already knew it was all like a learning process. But
did you ever figure out what's going on with your camera?
So the thing about that camera is,
Uh-oh.
I was kind of given that camera, and somebody told me that they quote unquote found it.
Whoa! Was there footage in it?
Wait, this is a hot camera?
Fell off a truck
Maybe.
somewhere.
Oh, he's got a hot camera.
Fell off of a SUV with broken glass.
Fell off a fucking truck.
So yeah, lesson learned. Buy shit new.
So is it junk? It's just dead.
No. It works when you put. It's. I mean, if you know about camera, it's a Black Magic camera, and if
Was
you
it
know
that
about
super
those
nice
cameras,
camera you brought to us?
No, it wasn't that one. No. That one I bought new. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Why didn't you bring that to Kentucky?
I should have. This camera is just, it has some more bells and whistles to it.
Right.
And it's
Okay.
a 4K camera.
There's a good movie that the premise is people finding a camera.
Mhm.
It's Paranormal Activity 5, The Ghost Dimension. You should watch that film.
I don't like that.
No, they find a camera. It's a period piece, and it looked like somebody had been working on it.
Yeah.
And when they look through it, they can see into the ghost dimension.
Yeah. I saw into
Dude, it's
the
fucking
dimension
cool.
of me holding a fucking boom mic for 3 hours in 20-degree weather. That's
Yeah, you
what
look mad.
No, but it was cool. I mean, the trip was great. Kentucky, I love Kentucky. It has a special place in my heart. I just love the people out there, and I just love how like nice people are.
Yeah.
While walking outside of Walmart with a Glock 19 on their hip, like I just love that. Like we were filming, and we're filming at all these different places, and people are like, we thought that like, since, you know, because we're in like we're in Ashland, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So like they don't see too many people filming out there. And like the fact that like we're out there with cameras and a boom mic, we're thinking that people are just gonna run into the shot and be like, oh, you guys are filming a movie. But no, everyone was respectful. They waited till we cut until they like, you know, talked to us. And it was just cool seeing people saying like, hey, like, good job on the film, guys. And just walk around with their guns. Out of Kroger's.
Good, stay on the damn shot.
Yeah, so besides that snafu, it was good. It was a good experience.
Well, you're
like,
back.
It was my first experience.
So did you film the
full
entire
feature.
thing in Kentucky, or you just had to get a couple things?
No,
out
the entire thing was based in Kentucky, and so we filmed everything there, and it was great.
Man, I feel like you fly out all the time to go do shit.
No,
Am I wrong?
I just I find, well, yeah, because I did fly to New Orleans.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
if
all
I
over.
can find a way to do it, like I do. Like I love to travel and I love to film, so it's like,
Yeah, I want to do traveling during COVID. All the hotels are cheap. Let's go to Vegas or something.
My flight was cheap. Like everything is look, man.
Life is cheap.
If I'm gonna die, I'd rather die in Kentucky eating fucking White Castle.
You had Kentucky Fried COVID out there. KFC.
Hey, now that you're back, are you going to come back on isolation?
Yes, I am. So fuck my job. I found out what was going on with my job.
Uh-oh.
Fuck them.
Uh-oh.
I'm coming back to isolation.
Oh, what happened? Wait, here a little context. Jahsaudi was so you're a security guard. He defends like, I don't know, like $100 million in gold bars. And he's the one guy in between the gold and the people.
Yeah.
And you would just bail on Thursdays and come hang out with us on camera. And one day you came out and you came in, you changed, you came on camera, you said hi, and then you said, I think I need to leave. My manager's there.
Yeah. So I got a phone call from the field manager of this security company I won't name. And they're like, yeah, are you at work? No. They asked me if I work at the building. And I'm like, yeah, I work at that building. And they're like, oh, yeah. Oh, cool. We're outside. You know that feeling when like,
I know it.
My balls went inside of my chest. Like, I was like, what the fuck? And then so I had to think of something quick. I was like, oh, I'm on lunch. So yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm on lunch, and I'll be back in 30 minutes. I'm all the way.
Now, how far away are you from this?
I'm an hour away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're hanging out with us in Pacifica.
Yeah.
You work in Deep East Bay.
Man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I changed my clothes so fast. I've never got changed that quickly.
Yeah, he was gone.
Because when I came in, I changed out of my work clothes into my normal clothes. As soon as I got the phone call, and I was right in the beginning. I sat down, I opened up a beer, I sat down, and I kept getting this phone call from this number. I'm like, that's strange. The same number's calling me back to back.
Oh, no.
Once I got the news, I quickly changed.
Yeah, he was gone. And
yeah.
You've been missed. We want you back.
And you got back in how quick a time?
Well, I got back so fast that the CHP was so proud of me that I got back so fast that they wanted to stop me and talk to me about it.
Oh,
really?
And they wanted to give me a piece of paper.
You got pulled over?
Yeah,
You didn't tell me that.
I was doing 100 on the freeway.
Oh my! You got pulled over on the way back?
Yes.
God.
And I was so close. The exit was right there, and they pulled me over. And I knew. I was, as soon as he walked up, I was like, we both know.
Well,
like, we know. I know. I saw my speedometer. I'm going 100. My truck only goes to 100. So I'm like, it's there.
Well, now you got what, a Chevy 1500?
Yeah.
What year?
1500. 2000.
And you were pushing. You got a 20-year-old truck.
Yes, I'm pushing it, and that baby still runs. It's parked out. Yeah.
Hey, let me tell you something. You can't take down those 1500s.
No, you
right
cannot.
now?
I love that truck. But yeah, so the cop, he was cool about it. Like, I told him my situation. He was like, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get a ticket though.
He was like, yeah, he told me. I mean, that's all I respect, because he was like, look, I'm still gonna give you a ticket, but he actually helped me out, because he on the ticket, he said that he had me doing 70 instead of 100.
Oh wow!
Because the ticket would have been way more,
dude.
Yeah.
So he's
Very
like,
nice.
yeah. So he was cool.
That's rad. Also, that's
Huh?
that's a legit excuse
You
when you're
can't
running late.
defund that.
Hey,
No,
yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Running late to work. That's a an excuse I've always got in my back pocket where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I got pulled over. So I feel like if you would have went there and they would have gave you shit, you could have been like, dude, the CHP pulled me over.
Oh yeah. Yo,
Yeah.
I used to work at a
You should
nonprofit
have showed them the
company.
ticket.
Yeah, that I did the same thing. I was running. I didn't get pulled over, but I lied and said I did. And it was around the rise of like Black Lives Matter and all that.
Oh,
And it was just so perfect because I'm like one of the few black people that was working there. So like when I was running late and they're like, "Yo, Jahsaudi, like, where are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I got pulled over." And they changed the whole. Are you okay? You need us to stay on the phone? Oh my gosh, was it very traumatic for you?
dude.
We need to create a safe space so that you can talk about this.
You're like, I think he was a proud boy. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God, take the day off.
For real. If you need to take the rest of the day off to, it was. So yeah, I found out. I thought like my manager was on to me about not being there, being in isolation instead of work, but
Yeah.
it wasn't the case. It was just other people. Not
You've
doing
got
the
a job. The gold's still there.
The gold is still there. Yeah. Nicolas Cage won't steal it anymore.
National treasure reference. All right. Russ, do you have anything else for up top?
I want to give a shout out to Chris DePredis, who sent us.
Hell yeah.
He's still doing zines out there, and if you follow him on Instagram, all he says is like, "Hey, if you comment and say you want one, he'll mail you one." His latest one is great. I'm actually going to hand it over to Clark after we record. Clark, you got to read it. I know you want to, but like,
yeah,
it's found footage adjacent, and it's got like, yeah, the protagonist is a lion in LA. It's really good.
A mountain lion, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
so shout out to that. Follow him, Randy. What's his Instagram? Do we know that off the top of our head?
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
I think
Not
if you-
sure. It's probably
go-
just his name.
Yeah, or if you go, yeah, you can find him. But like, definitely hit him up. He mails them out. Zine is like a dead art, especially in the era of lockdown. I feel like it's a thing you'd walk into Amoeba and find them for free on a shelf and take. And
Jahsaudi, did you ever see that YouTube footage of the hiker being stalked by a mountain lion for like an hour?
Yes, and he's like trying to talk to him and shit.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, we tweeted that out early.
it's terrifying.
I was there when that dropped, and I put it out there on the Overlook Hour podcast. It blew up like a week later.
Yeah,
I'm like, people need to be watching us.
that shit looks scary.
Oh, Randy.
Yes, sir.
We were supposed to have a meeting at some point where we were going to push you to be our official spokesperson on Twitter. I figured you'd be down, so
On Instagram.
and on yeah.
Oh,
Should we
damn,
make an
both?
Instagram? Should we make an
Well, I thought you
Instagram?
already had. Oh, you don't have an Instagram.
We have an
just for the
Overlook
podcast?
one.
Yeah.
This is a separate conversation.
I know, but I think there should be its own little corner for people. I think Oksana runs the Overlook Theater thing. She's very prim and proper, and I think our sensibilities are
Prim and
not.
proper.
Yeah, they're a little different. So I don't know.
The hell is this? The 1930s?
Meaning, basically meaning that Oksana is still pure. She doesn't have the jaded commentary that both Russell, myself, and Randy all share.
Yeah.
That we have no hope for the universe,
Okay.
and that this attitude is transferred over into the language, where Oksana comes in her own different, non-jaded, very open and warm way.
She's the sour cream to y'all chili.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, like when dealing with the publicist, she goes by the book and they leave happy. When
That's
we
good.
deal with them, we have a dude playing clips of Clark talking about balls in his mouth or something. And Maya never comes back.
Okay.
And I want
That's all Chris's fault.
I agree. And I just think, that tone should be available somewhere.
Oh, okay. I
And
see.
Twitter, Twitter's not for regular people. It's for people who are trying to, be famous or like look at Randy. He's always out there pushing his band and shit.
But since you
Yeah.
brought up Maya,
I am very, very sorry, and I beg for your forgiveness.
even though it's 100% Chris's fault when I said suck my dick to a woman. Okay. Russ, anything else before we throw it to Randiggy?
Nah.
Also,
mean, there's a
Randy,
lot.
how do you feel about Randiggy as your new name?
I think you've said it before, but I'm not a big fan.
What about Randiggle?
It's a little close to Rob Riggle.
Is that no good?
No.
What about Randizzle?
Randizzle's aight.
Oh, you Snoop
Oh,
Dogg
okay.
fan, huh?
Like to keep it old school, man.
I don't know what to do with that. All right, Randy, you got a couple different movies for us. One of which you tried to bully me into watching yesterday, Randy. And Randy, as you know, I don't answer to terrorism, so I've yet to see this. I have seen the advertisements for this feature. I know a lot of people are talking about it. This is a feel good movie. Is that what we're going into?
No, not really. I mean, it's not a feel good movie and it's not a feel bad movie. It's a little bit in between.
Okay.
It's
So
called
a feel movie.
yeah. It's called Some Kind of Heaven, directed by Lance Oppenheim, who I just found out is 25 years old.
Oh, right.
Damn.
It's an 83-minute documentary.
Pay taxes.
Yeah, so this documentary is about this retirement community called The Villages in Florida, which it's a place for older people to go, and it's about the size of a small city. I think they have like 100,000 residents.
In this retirement community?
Yeah, it's essentially
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
I was just waiting to say that.
It's essentially it's basically like a small city. They have like a movie theater. They have like their own news channel. It's kind of crazy, but essentially when they
I live there.
it probably costs a lot of money, but yeah.
I would love to live with a bunch of old people.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And old people, they freaks too.
There's definitely some weirdos in this movie.
Go to the Bone Zone.
So yeah, when they set out to build this place, they essentially wanted it to be like a Disneyland for retirees. So they actually based like the main like city, like the main street off of like Disneyland Main Street. So there's a lot of buildings that have like, EST like 1927, and it's like just completely made up like history. Like doesn't actually. It's basically like a place for old people to go and kind of just like live the rest of their life in sort of this weird, very surreal bubble of a city that like they just created. And it's weird, but they have a lot of activities they have. So this one is weird. They have parrot head conventions.
Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah, they straight up have Jimmy Buffett. Like,
Wait, hold on. You knew what that was?
Of course.
I thought it was a
Hell
weird
yeah.
sexual thing.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I heard parrot
Of
head. I
course.
was
See,
like,
we're normal.
yeah.
No,
You're
wrong.
like Jimmy Buffett.
You do understand that Jimmy Buffett is the highest grossing American entertainer.
With
Everyone
really?
knows Jimmy Buffett parody.
what demographic?
You've got to get outside of your little California
Okay.
bullshit bubble and know what the rest of the country's doing.
Yeah, well, you're wearing sunglasses indoors in
And
California.
I'm fucking crushing it right now, dude. Yeah, Parrot Head is
Oh,
Jimmy
dude,
Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett? Parrot head?
Unfortunately, look, Jimmy Buffett went to the same college I went to, so I know all about Jimmy Buffett and the Parrot Heads.
Is that like a groupie
Well, that's just
nickname?
what they call his fans.
The
they
group-
just like meet up and they have margaritas and like hang out and eat food.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. They film one. It's pretty funny.
Dude.
But yeah, essentially the movie focuses on 3 groups of people. So one is a couple who's been there for a while, and like the husband in the couple is starting to lose it a little bit. And then there's a lady.
Mental faculties.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a little more complicated than that, but it's interesting. And then there's a lady who moved there like right after her husband died. So she's a widow. And then there's this guy who doesn't live there, but he's from California and he lives in his van and he just parks there and goes to meet ladies who potentially have a lot of money so he can get into this community in a cheap way.
I want to drink some of that later.
So yeah, there's a lot of like really interesting
parrot
people
head.
and stories in it, but it's also like super stylized. It's shot in like a boxy like 4:3 or 1:33 ratio. It's super cinematic. They basically shoot everything with tripods, so you don't really get like a verite style. It's very, it's very cinematic, and it feels like each frame is like composed very well. And it's considering how weird this community is and how like kind of surreal it is from an outsider. It doesn't really like poke fun at the characters. I think it has empathy for a lot of the characters in the movie, and it gets a little emotional towards the end too. And I recommend it.
Dude, the framing looks beautiful, and the whole tripod not looking cinema verite thing
Yeah.
it's a conversation that the horror community just doesn't have the language to have, because a lot of found footage horror, it would be treated so differently if people just used a tripod. But I think everybody's, for a long time at least a decade, they were just trying to mimic the Blair Witch, but they didn't know exactly what they were trying to mimic.
Yeah.
And again, it's just one of those things where if they knew the film language, it would be like, well, you're trying to do verite, and you can still do it with the tripod.
Yeah.
This movie does look really quirky, though. It almost looks like
which begs my next question. So, Randy, as you know, my favorite documentary of all time happens to take place in the state of Florida, which is Vernon, Florida. So, again, this deals with geriatrics in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
However, this being a giant compound of retirees, it begs the question that I'm going to go outside the box here and assume that a large portion of these residents are not Florida natives, as Florida is sort of where people go to die. So I think that, do we have any sort of that Florida weirdness going on here?
Yeah, I think most of the people that we follow in the movie, are not from Florida, actually. But I don't know. There's definitely a lot of weird stuff going on, and it's just it's very surreal watching it. It's not it's not like David Lynch weird surreal, but yeah, the fact that they essentially live in a theme park. So that in itself is pretty bizarre just to watch.
How bizarre?
Very bizarre.
You already said pretty.
I have a couple questions.
Oh, here we go. All right, here we. And you got your question theme.
Do you think it being on sticks the whole time kind of changes the way we look at the characters?
Well, we can't just power through that. Just
what?
You
I got what he's saying.
Just go through the whole thing of saying tripods, and then you come in all cool and shit, saying, "Hey man, they're being on sticks and shit."
Hey, I'm pretentious. I know the lingo, dude.
Sticks. You just named my third favorite band. Continue.
I don't know if it really affects
Take that wine away from you. Sorry, Randy.
Sorry, I don't know exactly how it really affects the movie or how we see it, but I assume that a lot of scenes were set up in a sense because he's using the 4:3 ratio, and you can tell that he's framing shots for that. And there's a lot of scenes where two characters in the movie are talking, and it's shot like a movie. You get almost extreme close-ups. You get shot, reverse shot of people talking. So I'm sure there's a little bit of manipulation or sort of setting a scene that you have to do in this, which I don't know. It's still a documentary. I mean, there's plenty of documentaries that stage shit that just they stage it to look more real.
Dude, Randy, is 4:3 the new pretentious frame? Back in the day, when you were going widescreen and there would be DVD or VHS and it'd be widescreen version, and you knew you were just you were different if you wanted that.
I like 3.
And then, but now, but I think it's just something where, the TV is not designed for it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're a filmmaker and you choose to do that, it's almost I don't know, is that signaling or what? What's going on there?
It's definitely intentional, but it usually has a purpose. For Lighthouse, because I think it was filmed in a box format similar to that. I think it just fits that purpose for that time. They wanted to really make it that.
But are you stamping your film by saying this is not a movie, this is a film? It demands your attention, and you know what I mean?
So for example, in the Hunger Games, they I didn't never
Jennifer L?
Yeah. So basically, they changed formats within the film. They changed the so every time I never saw the film, but I was just watching the documentary. No, I was watching a documentary about a film ratios and stuff.
Yeah.
And so basically, every time they go out to hunt or when they go out into the field or whatever, it widens.
Oh, I didn't notice.
It's probably an IMAX thing.
People normally don't notice, but the aspect ratio changes every time she goes into the field and when she comes or when the people go back underground or whatever. So it does that through the movie. So there's a lot of times with aspect ratios, there's intention behind it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, dude, talking about found footage, mixed media is huge.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing is when we know we're clearly cutting to a vertical phone.
Yeah.
Because there's so much in a vertical phone. Like normally when people are taking video, it's for their social media.
Mhm.
But you do it horizontally because you don't want to make people have to look at a weird frame. But if you're doing it vertically, it's usually because you're trying to hide it. So I love that shit. It seems like a pretentious move now.
Yeah, I get
like,
what you're saying.
Yeah, and The Lighthouse was not a great.
Fuck you, I like that movie.
Yeah, I like it too.
Lighthouse was awesome. But my next question was
Okay.
this film? Was it film or digital?
I believe it's digital. It looks great, but it doesn't like have grain. It's pretty like pristine.
Randy.
Looks like
All right.
film.
I got a question for you, Randy.
Uh-huh.
You ready?
Always.
Hey, how was Florida?
Hi, we just bought a new place down there.
I know. We were looking at the brochure.
You what?
Why, are you thinking of moving?
No, not really. Because if you are, you shouldn't. There's nothing available in that development.
Are you telling me there's not one condo available in all of Del Boca Vista?
That's right. They went like hotcakes.
How'd you get yours?
Got lucky.
Are you trying to keep us out of Del Boca Vista?
That was the question. I didn't.
My favorite is when they showed all the other takes of that, of how many times it took him to say Del Boca Vista.
Yeah.
Del Vista Boco.
Also, Randy, I don't know what you posted. I think you sent a picture and a text to me and Clark. And the only thing I walked away from that picture with is acknowledging your Seinfeld DVD collection crammed under your TV.
Yeah, I just took a not a screenshot. I took a picture of me watching the new Doug Liman film Lockdown, which is not good.
Yeah, it looked that I can't get through the trailer, brother.
Well, that's why we're talking about your Seinfeld DVDs, which I never pulled the trigger on them. I always wanted that refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that?
Yeah.
When that shit came out, it was like $500 though.
Dude, it was like every time I went into, because I used to go into Best Buy all the time.
Yeah.
Because I used to have a pretty decent only DVD collection.
Well,
I never really got into Blu-rays because that's how old this is. And I would always look at that Seinfeld thing as
I
like
know.
one day. They were just so exorbitantly expensive.
Oksana, can you pull up eBay? Let's see where it's at right now. I want to pull the trigger on that fucking thing.
I guarantee you. I
So what
bet
y'all
it.
talking about?
It has to be cheaper. It has to be cheaper than
you're
the Al Adamson box set.
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld what?
Seinfeld had a box set. It was a collector set that looked like Jerry's fridge.
It was the size of Jerry's fridge?
Yes.
It was the size of a fucking refrigerator.
I think I got all these before that came out, and then I was bummed when that came out, and I was like, damn it.
Dude, and that's how they used to fucking do it. They would release season 1, which would be like
$130.
Hey, that's cheaper.
That's not bad.
That's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, click that. Warren fridge. Oh,
What?
is it
Somebody's been putting their food in
sealed
there?
contents? Looks like the outside.
That's not bad. You
Wait,
better pull that trigger.
Is that a real fridge? It's a real
That's
fridge.
a real
Wait, what?
That's a real fridge.
Bro, that's a real
No, it's
I
not.
want that. It is.
Sealed content.
No.
No, it's on the table.
Oh, y'all are in. What is happening today?
No, we knew you smoked a J. We're just
My
trying to get you
I'm
a...
the one who should be jacked all up, man. I'm on half a J. Oh, see, look.
I'd still fuck with it.
For $130, man.
I'm telling you, they
no.
came out at
They got cracking.
500.
They did. It was crazy.
But that part's still not open though.
You know, another one I think about a lot is Twin Peaks.
I've got that.
You got the gold one?
I got the gold.
Oh, really?
You know how?
It's back at home?
Yes.
Are you fucking idiot?
No. Incorrect. I
It's
have
here? You don't have it. You're a liar.
I
Look at
think,
you.
no. You know what? Yeah, I think it is back home because here's what happened. I bought it here, and then when I moved back, I think I brought it back with me. So I
Wait,
think
you moved back home?
Yeah. So I moved here for 6 months in 2011, went home, and then came back in 2012.
Whoa, what happened there?
Whoa, what happened?
Long story.
Wait, you came. I didn't realize. I thought if you had been here and moved, you would have never came back.
No, I came back in 2012.
So you had that gold one.
I got the gold.
Oh, that one had all the good handout shit.
Yeah.
That
So you know, I got it for cheaper because I got it when Borders closed out.
Oh yeah.
So I got it as part of the Borders liquidation sale, and I was kind of waiting for that 50% off.
Yeah.
And I nabbed it.
Ooh,
right
you're
there.
ballsy, dude. A lot of that shit goes quick.
Not in San Mateo, baby.
I used to go out there to that Borders too. It was good, and you had Barnes and Noble down there too. You could do a twofer. Yeah, when the Blu-ray came out, the market on that gold box set plummeted, and people were pissed because it was one of their like, oh, this is my holy grail over here.
Yeah,
and then it comes out on Blu-ray, and people are like, I got a better version.
VHS,
dude. That's always going to be a little hipster, but I love it. I love the fucking VHS. All right. Yeah.
All right, Randy, now that we spent 45 minutes on your first movie.
I'll be quick. Yeah, I'll be quick with the next one because I assume you guys will watch it. I'm not sure when, but
well, you recommended it, so probably in a year.
Yeah, exactly. And also, Oksana recommended it in the intro last week. It's called I Blame Society, which I watched on the Balboa Theater's virtual cinema. Yeah, and it's definitely in the realm of the found footage in-world camera type of movie, directed by Gillian Wallace Horvat, and also starring Gillian. It's essentially so her character in the movie, one of her friends, well, she's a filmmaker, and one of her friends one day tells her that she'd make a good serial killer. And so she decides to make a documentary on that and how she would commit the perfect murder. And so that's part of the plot. And then it's kind of just a darkly comedic meta satire of LA and kind of like the struggles of her being a female filmmaker. And she's really great in this movie. Definitely sells her character gets more deranged as the film goes on, and it's very entertaining. And she's really good, and the movie itself is really solid as well.
Yeah, one of the themes with found footage horror, I was talking to listener Sam about this last week, is just how slasher films, they always, their killers portray a uninhibited like male energy usually, and it's protected by a mask. And we were talking about how the camera can also offer you that escape. And I love watching like self-filmed descents into darkness, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And I really want to watch it. What's funny is that the cover turned me off. I never made
me too, actually.
Yeah. And I, honestly, the way that it's
why?
Because I didn't see the camera. And a lot of that kind of like pop female protagonist horror.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get a lot of signals that are like, Amazon Prime dump, there's a pretty girl and we got nothing else.
Yeah.
But you throw in a camera like that and I'm instantly intrigued. I mean, clearly I'm biased, but I
don't like the image either. Like I don't like it as from a photography standpoint.
Well, you've got an eye too. And
He's got two of them.
Yeah, and the electric one is my favorite. 4. Oh yeah, what happened?
I got LASIK.
You did?
No, I was playing. Not yet. But I got.
Are you scared of it though?
I want to get it. No, I'm gonna get it soon. I just gotta.
Scared of LASIK
credit.
now, bro. It's 2021. We got Chinese viruses.
Exactly.
Oksana just raised her hand for everybody who can't see
You
that.
scared of LASIK? No, the technology's changed. It's like
it's not a laser going into your eyeball anymore.
They do have some, but it's like, bruh, the lasers literally for like 25 seconds each eye. I'm serious. Like, go ahead. Randy.
I'm not afraid of LASIK, but I'm afraid I'll pull a Drew Carey and I'll get LASIK, and then I'll be like, oh shit, I look weird without glasses, and I just wear glasses again.
Randy, you're gonna look beautiful without glasses.
All right. Let me explain something about the Drew Carey situation.
Oh no.
Drew Carey's had those glasses on as a bit the whole time.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
He's Ray Charles.
Piggybacking off Drew, because doesn't he host
Price is Right, the most successful?
My homie just won $12,000 on Price is Right. Yeah.
Nice.
We're the guy that we're filming with in Kentucky. He was on Price is Right. He's about to get getting his money today. I swear to bruh, I will beat y'all ass.
Hey, get the phone away from the mic. We don't need that. It's not doing it yet, but
yeah, fucking.
I'll say I love the Price is Right, and I like Drew Carey on the Price is Right. However, nothing will beat Steve Harvey on Family Feud.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just like meme quality every episode.
He embraces YouTube.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they made a fucking video game that embraces streaming culture, but they don't have Steve Harvey.
They've got the worst.
Yeah, Lucky is his name.
I fucking hate him.
No, but here's
Oh, that's awesome.
do you think that's on purpose? Like clearly having a boring white guy as a host just to create conversation?
I don't know because I mean
No, I mean
honestly,
it. Like,
honestly, the first time when
Look at the demographic
I saw
of
the
people
whole
who watch
thing
Family Feud.
and the lack
I mean,
of
not
Steve
Family
Harvey,
Feud, but
yeah,
I thought it was maybe some sort of contract dispute.
you know, it could be, but also you can't can Steve Harvey. Like
No.
how the fuck would you that translate into a video game?
That is true because everything is the reason why Steve Harvey's Steve Harvey because no one is sharper in the moment.
I
No,
like how
yeah,
it said
yeah.
Lucky McKee. It's not Lucky McKee that's doing Family Feud. No, it's not McKee. That's the director. His name's Lucky, but not McKee.
Lucky McGee.
Yeah. Search. I don't know. Okay, we definitely. I don't care what it ends up looking like. We're
I'm
gonna
not
have to
gonna
dump
I'm
this
not
on
gonna
YouTube
lie.
for that.
I love Steve Harvey, but I mean, maybe he probably did it because he was old, but that fro that he used to have in that lineup, it was the crispiest lineup ever.
Yeah.
And now that he's bald, it's just like, damn.
That mustache, though.
I mean, the mustache is fire, but when he had that fro, man, that shit was perfect. Like that was like the idea. If you was black and you had your fro and you wanted to get your hair lined up, that was like the thing. Like you need to have your hair like that.
Dude, the internet has scrubbed Lucky from Family Feud.
Yes, they
Oksana
should.
could not find it. It's fine.
He got canceled actually. 'Cause-
Lucky? Oh my god. Okay, producer Jahsaudi over here trying to talk off
Lucky.
I don't know what's happening.
He's trying to give you hand signals to use the
I
soundboard
can't
somehow.
hear you.
Play the pedophile sound.
Oh, my
because
really?
god.
Lucky,
Oh,
Okay, here we go. Take
Because-
two.
all right. Here we go and go.
because Lucky.
He's a pedophile.
Thank you so much.
What? That wasn't even the right setup.
Oh,
The motherfucker.
Wait. They take three. Okay.
So it's good to be back in a
Okay.
normal episode.
They canned Lucky from Family Feud because
He's a pedophile.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. That was really
I'm
good.
glad to be here for the jokes, y'all.
No, I was applauding Clark because that soundboard likes to have a little delay. You nailed it.
I was like, let me go in early and see where we go, and it worked
You
out.
did it.
All right, Randy, you got any other tangents we can go down? Randy hung up.
And Randy's gone. Randy?
I think he left. He's still there.
He went to go
All right.
look at his
All right.
Seinfeld clips.
So I'll talk about two films, both of which I saw yesterday. The first is a two-part documentary that is airing on HBO Max. It is an HBO Sports original. It is entitled Tiger, about Tiger Woods. I just wanted to mention this because this is a fantastic sports documentary about the life of Tiger Woods, where in part one, part two is actually airing tonight, Sunday night as we're talking to you. So I've only seen half of this, as the other half will be released later. But I'll try to talk about part two next week. Essentially, part one covers the early days of Tiger and essentially how the creation of what we know as Tiger Woods.
Oh, they have that footage.
Yes, they've got the procreation. But essentially of how Tiger was born with one mission, and that one mission was completely at the behest of the architecture of his father, where he wanted his son to be the greatest black golfer of all time, the greatest golfer, and he was going to be black.
Mhm.
And he was going to change the golf game because golf is a very stuffy white game.
Yeah.
And so
I think Randy said it was for boomers.
yes.
Definitely.
Oh, Randy's
Randy's
back.
back.
Yeah.
He's back.
Randy, you're back.
Yeah, I just had to pee.
So
uppercut.
we got dueling soundboards now.
What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Dude, we needed some Tiger uppercut.
no 0. So the first episode covers it's 90 minutes long, and it essentially covers his early life and then his amateur days and then him going pro, leaving college, and how essentially he was off to the races very quickly. And how just Tiger Mania was. So part two will essentially go into the fall of Tiger Woods with his sex addiction, but we sort of get a
Sorry,
taste
should've laughed
of
at that.
understanding of how Tiger got there and his upbringing, how strict his parents were to him, both his father and his mother. And that golf, he was just singly minded towards golf, and actually We do get interviews with his first girlfriend, who was very candid about their relationship and how his parents intervened and how Tiger really never had a shot at any other life other than golf, and how that she saw that switch take a place in him where when they were dating and that he would go to their house as an escape away from his parents, but then she just saw that switch happen to him where it was only with golf and he just had a singular focus towards getting there and how that was done. So the documentary is expertly done. It's beautiful, and honestly I think one of my favorite things about it is how they are editing the sports footage, because they show a lot of the broadcast, but how they're editing that really fits the narrative. And honestly, it's beautiful how they do that.
Now,
who's the director?
That's an excellent question. Matthew Hamachek, looks like.
That's a hell of a last name.
What else did he do?
Now, you're watching Tiger, but are you going to jump into The Last Dance now? Because you're dealing with singular dudes who are driven, purely by one goal. They achieve it, but then, there's also the where does all the stress go? And then they both come out with an addiction.
And you're also dealing with two of the maybe the most popular names of all time.
Yeah.
I think Tiger Woods mania, I think in a sense, I'm going to say Tiger was maybe bigger than Michael Jordan in some aspects because he brought the sport of golf with him, where golf was not on the radar for a lot of this country. Now, granted, you've got your Jack Nicklaus, you've got all these great golfers that but when Tiger came on the scene, he brought golf with him, and I'm telling you, in that late '90s, because my uncle, my nephew are enormous Tiger fans, and so I was sort of around that time, and I just remember. I've never been a huge golf guy. I have a great appreciation for it, and I think even more so now than ever, where you just remember how golf was back then, and everybody was just a buzz. And so for him to bring the sport to the forefront like that, we really hadn't seen. Where basketball is basketball. Basketball is an American sport, and basketball has always been very popular. And Michael Jordan was just sort of the prince of basketball and the face of something that was already set in the American culture, where Tiger brought golf with him to the forefront.
Yeah, golf
I think Jordan changed how the game was played, though. That was the impact thing. It was always a big thing, but he changed how the game was. Whereas I like you right, like Tiger really brought golf to the mainstream. Whereas,
and here's the thing: they're both Nike athletes.
Yeah.
So Nike, fuck you, Phil Knight.
Nike knows what they're doing. I have a question though. Do you think that it's really, and Jordan too? Do you really think it's an addiction, or do you think it's their drive that allowed them that their drive that pushed them to be great?
Well, I think one feeds the other, and in Tiger's words, it was an addiction.
Oh, okay.
He in the first half of this documentary, he says, "I'm addicted to golf."
There's a great interview. It's brief, and somebody asks him, Tiger, if you could change one thing in your life, what would it be? And he'd be like, I definitely wouldn't run as much as I did. And it's it just shows all the fucking drama, the fallout, getting beat up by your wife, the cheating. And the thing he's like, yeah, run too much. And it's he's just thinking about the career.
I'm telling you, this is a fantastic documentary.
Well, he was saying that he ran so much that it was actually fucking up his golf game.
Yeah. Just running.
Yeah, running.
Yeah, that was the only thing he was worried about.
Well, that was the one thing he would change if he could.
But it's interesting because you just said that his whole life is surrounded by this sport that his parents kind of forced it on him, and he just wanted to get his dick sucked.
No, he didn't.
No. So I think in part two they're going to go more into the salacious aspect in terms of what the fall for Tiger Woods was.
Mm-hmm.
And that, obviously that certainly mirrored into his playing days because we went through a pretty rough period there. Now he's on his way back to winning majors. But I think what the documentary does a really good job is of portraying his relationship with his parents to where, you're really starting to understand the psyche of what, what we're building towards. Like,
Dude,
I like that.
obviously, all of this is got him to a certain point. He had the discipline,
Mhm.
but that takes a price, man. It took
yeah,
a toll, and it took a big toll on Tiger.
well, it's just like with business too. If you jump into your career, you lose shit
Yeah.
like family time and hanging out. And
But also
hobbies
back
and-
to his physical stuff, because Tiger really changed the game with what a golfer's supposed to look like. Because Tiger, when he entered the tour, was 150 pounds. A few years later, he added 30 pounds of muscle. So he was 185, and Tiger was always shredded. And so Tiger really changed the game on what golfers were supposed to look like, because at that time, and I mean, obviously, still pretty close to this today, his biggest opponent was Phil Mickelson. And Phil,
brutal Phil.
I love Phil Mickelson because I just think naturally he's the most gifted golfer ever, and he was a left-handed golfer, so everyone called him lefty. Tiger's mom was vicious, so we spent a lot of time talking about Tiger's dad, but Tiger's mom was also very vicious. So she called Tiger, she called Phil, instead of lefty, she called him hefty because he was a little bigger than Tiger. So it goes all into that. This is a very comprehensive documentary, but I'm telling you, it's all about the human relationships that Tiger had with his parents, and then how that sort of built him to who he is today.
Are we doing a lot of talking head here? I feel like it's a lot of talking heads.
We do have a lot of talking heads, but it's a lot of archived footage as well.
Right.
And the archive footage is, again, this is edited beautifully.
All right. That is more golf than I need to talk about for the rest of the year. So let's go ahead and end that.
The movie I watched yesterday.
Yeah.
For no apparent reason at all.
Caddyshack.
I was looking not far removed. I was on Amazon Prime, wanted to look up something. And I saw that this movie was on. I'd known about this movie forever. I'm a big Rodney Dangerfield fan, and I've seen a lot of the Rodney Dangerfield movies. I remember when I was a kid, Ladybugs was very big for me. I love that Ladybugs. But did you ever see that, where he was a soccer coach for a girls' soccer team?
Yeah, I remember. It's funny because, like, as a childhood, I remember his face a lot. So I think I've seen his movies, but I never just tied it to.
So in 2000, he starred in a film called My Five Wives, where he plays a giant
polygamist
architect. In Los Angeles, and he's got a hot new deal going on in Utah, where he's going to buy a bunch of property. And he's going to build a ski lodge, because that is. We're looking up pictures here. He's going to build a ski lodge in Utah. Now, he gets there. His old buddy's there. He's going to help him out. He's like, hey, once I get this, you're going to be my developer. He's like, that's great. Who can I write the check out to? Well, here's one problem. This is all essentially Mormon territory, and this is archaic. This is the polygamous Mormon. So this is the subsect of the Mormon religion in Utah, where you have multiple wives. So it seems a very. I think they're creating their own religion here, because it's sort of that Mennonite situation we have here.
Yeah,
where there's a Mennonite village, and essentially he had to bid on the property. So he bid on the property. The issue is that there was some gangsters who were bidding on that property as well. He outbid them. And so Andrew Dice Clay is on Rodney Dangerfield's ass, because he's got to get this. He's got to get this property for his boss, played by Jerry Stiller.
Rad.
So we've got Jerry Stiller, Andrew Dice Clay, and Rodney Dangerfield in this thing. Rodney Dangerfield is playing. He can only do Rodney Dangerfield, so he's doing Rodney Dangerfield jokes the whole time. And they're in this Mennonite village. I want to play one clip here. I'm trying to pull it up to where the best Rodney Dangerfield joke. I think I've got it right here. And here we go.
That guy could be his roommate. The more wives a man has, the more important he is. Even the famous Brigham Young was a polygamist. He had 27 wives.
Yeah, I remember the words of Brigham Young. He said, I don't care how you bring him, but Brigham Young.
Wow.
It's 100 minutes of jokes like that. That is what this movie is. Rodney's doing that. I'm telling you, I really had fun with it. It's a bad movie, but man, there's some funny jokes in there. It's a ridiculous premise. So Rodney Dangerfield he buys the property, but as a part of that property, it comes with 3 wives. So you buy the property, you buy the wives. So now he's got three young, beautiful wives that he's having sex with every day. He actually got a deli counter number thing, and he said, "Okay, number 1, you coming in." Boy, I tell you, so it's not. That's all that is, and I love that shit because Rodney's great. There's also a scene where they get a stunt double skiing as Rodney Dangerfield, and he's doing backflips and everything else. And Andrew Dice Clay's chasing him on, what's the jet ski thing over there? I'm on a jet ski in the snow over here. It's everything I love with all that cheesy shit. So you got Andrew Dice Clay chasing Rodney Dangerfield, and then Jerry Stiller shows up in 2 scenes as a mafioso boss in the back of a limousine. Also, Jerry Stiller has abnormally long arms. He's a tiny little man, and he's got these giant arms. It's very disconcerting. But don't watch this probably. If you do like, those ridiculous comedies of that era, like Meet Wally Sparks and My 5 Wives and all that Rodney shit, then give it a go. And chances are you've already seen it. But I had fun with that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I honestly, if you were watching it, I would love to be there. But does it have rewatch capability?
Probably not. There's some. And John Panette is in this as well. I totally forgot. Oh my God. There's one great scene with John Panette, and I honestly wished that they would have expanded on that scene a little bit. Because
she pulled up John Panette and Rotten Tomatoes. His highest rated film is The Punisher in 2004 at 28%. And his lowest rated film is, as Randy mentioned earlier, My 5 Wives at 0%.
This is on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, John Panette, do you know who that is? He was a stand-up comedian. But
no idea.
He was a stand-up comedian who died several years ago. Very, very obese gentleman. Who has a young face. I have been compared to John Panette several times. We'll power through that.
Yeah, you do kind of look like
Thank you so much. John Panette was in the finale of the Seinfeld series. He's the guy who's getting robbed on the on the camera. That's John Panette. So John Panette is in this film, and he plays sort of the henchman with the banker of the town who's going against. Who he was in cahoots with Andrew Dice Clay against Rodney Dangerfield. Very convoluted plot. But John Panette, there's a sub story where they go to Las Vegas, and this is where the girls get the first taste of the outside world.
Oh no!
And so then they fall in love with this feminist, and then they're like, "Oh, we're here, kick him where it hurts." They go to this speech, "Kick him where it hurts," played by Molly Shannon, who then later marries Rodney Dangerfield. Again,
spoiler,
overly convoluted. Mm-hmm. But essentially, so they end up at the strip club, and it's an all-male show. And so Rodney Dangerfield sneaks in the club as a male stripper, but dressed up in like the Zorro outfit. And then John Panette's trying to chase him. So John Panette comes out on the stage, and all the girls are cheering for him. And then he starts to dance and strip, and it's the best part of the movie. But then they cut. I was like, God damn, you could have put 2 minutes with this because he's great. I miss John Panette. R.I.P.
Right.
Yeah, 0%.
So you brought polygamy and golf today. Thanks, Clark. 2 subjects we will not need to revisit in all of 2021. All right. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You're like 2.5 wines deep. I'm worried.
Deep in that pussy.
That's a Cobra drop.
That's why I said it. All right, so the movie I saw, I'm going to be quick with this. It's called Devil in the Dark, came out in 2017. It's on Amazon Prime. That's why I
Donnie Darko? What the fuck is this shit?
Fake Donnie Darko shit. Look, I'm trying to watch more horror shit.
Whoa.
It's fake Donnie Darko. That is horrible CGI.
That is some low budget Guillermo del Toro shit.
I like him.
So, yeah. So I'm trying to watch more. I noticed that the horror that I like only comes in before 2000.
What?
Like 90s, like 90s horror or like 70s horror. Like I don't really like horror that came out within the last 10 years.
Okay.
Like,
Really?
I
You're
can't-
not watching the right shit then.
Well, maybe I need to watch more good shit.
I'm
This
into it.
movie,
Challenge
Devil in the Dark, was not the good shit. So I'm gonna read the synopsis real quick.
All right. Do we have good betting music for him to do this?
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun,
Oh, she
dun.
got it right there.
All right. So when two estranged, I'm gonna read here because this one's different. When two estranged siblings go on a family bonding hunting trip, a dark and evil entity from their past stalks them through the countryside. But something from the past is drawing one brother deeper into the woods. A night of unrelenting horror will force the other brother to make the ultimate choice.
That was terrible.
This lured you in?
No, it did not lure me in. I saw the. I don't know what. I don't know. I just
now for our listeners, as you said, 99% of the movies you watch, you go in completely blind.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you didn't even.
I
did
didn't
you
even read.
this?
No,
one?
I didn't read. I just saw the title and I was like, "Devil in the Dark." I don't know. This looks kind of familiar, but I think it looked familiar, like you said, because it reminded me of Donnie Darko. Or
Was this a Prime?
Yeah, it's on Prime.
Okay.
So, at the end of the synopsis, it says like they have to make a choice. There is no choice made. There is no choice made. So I read another synopsis that said, "Oh, these two brothers go out on a hunting trip and they have to they're burying their dad's ashes because their dad is dead in the story." That never happened in the movie. So I don't know why they have that as one of the synopses. But basically, essentially, you have these two brothers who one is like the more like he likes to go hunting and he's like very close to their dad. And the other one, he's like this tech guy who lives in the city, drives a nice ass Porsche though. Like
Ooh,
the Porsche.
what kind? 911?
You woke Clark up with that.
911. I think it was
Dude,
it was
good
fresh.
date.
It was all black. So
Never forget those.
Good day, never forget. So basically, like I didn't really like the acting because it was like they were like characters. Like the older brother was like this. I'm this woodsy guy, and I go out and hunt, and I'll just provide for my family. And then the younger brother is like, I'm this tech guy. I work in Silicon Valley. I drive this Porsche, and I'm gonna go visit my brother because I'm trying to be So that's so that's the younger brother right there. So he had a bad relationship growing up with his dad. And not really bad, but he didn't connect with like the hunting aspect. He wasn't like, he didn't connect with that. But the storytelling aspect is where it lost me because they tried to make it like it was like this traumatic thing. Like his dad hated him because he didn't want to hunt. Like that's not what he wanted to do. And so the movie doesn't start getting quote unquote scary until about 35 minutes into the film. 35 into the minute. Yeah. So like they go out, the whole movie just follows them going out into this hunting trip because the little brother wanted to like connect with his older brother. And so they basically talk about this backstory of like how he didn't go to his dad's funeral. And it's like having all this like hidden shit, this backstory. Like the movie was like 90% backstory, which everything on the front end was just not that interesting. The acting was horrible. The only good thing about this movie was that the older brother who was like the hunter, his wife had a fat ass.
Okay.
And you only saw it at one part where she stood up and hugged him. Besides that, the part of the film where you finally see this creature that's like haunting him. I'm gonna spoil this movie. So the brother has like this dream. That's the reason why he wants to go there because he has like this recurring dream of him as a little kid getting chased by this creature. They see this creature who grabs him and takes him into like this room where they have like these antlers that's like holding him like he holds him with these there's like a scene of like these antlers.
I love that
body.
image.
And so he gets like possessed by this demon. And so the older brother is able to save him. Yeah, the virus of this movie.
Now the antler thing. Do we have Hannibal to blame for that?
I think so.
Did you ever watch Hannibal?
Yeah.
Hannibal's got a lot of antler iconography, and then we get Guillermo.
It's cool though.
It is, and then Del Toro comes with Antler. Right? Was that the name of that movie that is never going to come out?
Del Toro produced it. I think that's a oh god damn it! What's that guy's name? Randy. He did Out of the Furnace. and Crazy Heart.
Well, while you're trying to think of that, look at this audience review. Well, somebody sure did watch NBC's Hannibal.
Yeah.
Scott
Baio.
Cooper.
Scott Cooper. Yeah. He's almost every one of his movies. I almost like him.
Yeah.
He's almost there. But Out of the Furnace was
I think that's what we're doing here. This almost looks like an asylum movie that was trying to come out when Del Toro's dropped. And it's like, oh, hey, maybe you just got LASIK and you can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, to quickly wrap up this movie, they tried to be like, oh, we're doing horror, but we're doing a deeper drama with horror. But it's like, the horror wasn't scary, the drama wasn't even interesting, and his wife had a fat ass. That's it. So,
All right.
next film.
Next film. What do you clock in there? You got the 5-minute clock right?
I'm about 7.
I was going on a rant. When you drink wine, you lose track of time. The next one I really like. Okay.
Red wine. Red wine.
Thank you for that.
So this movie's called.
Oh my God. All right. You know, I didn't know we were actually going to do that.
This movie's called
Shrum.
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 Shrum. Shrum.
Shrum.
Do you hear the piano in the background on this video?
I did.
Where did you get that from?
Here you go. Just say it again.
Shrum.
Shrum.
It's a minute of that.
Oh goodness. All right. So I'm gonna just call it Scram.
Nope.
So this movie is directed by George Butgerud.
Jorg.
Oh my God.
Clark, can you please?
Some German motherfucker.
Clark.
Jorg.
Booty.
Butgerud.
Ooh.
Maybe.
Ooh.
I like that.
I just committed to that, so it's 99% wrong, but Jorg is right.
Give the full name.
Jorg Butgerud.
Oh, you didn't have the passion that time.
Yeah, you didn't have the passion.
Yeah. Do you want to read the thing, or you want me to read it?
You read it. Read it for me.
As serial killer Lothar Schramm lies dying in his own blood, horrific memories of his miserable life of paranoia, self-harm, and rejection flash before his eyes. A tragic look into the mind of a serial killer.
Much better than Jahsaudi earlier. Good job.
So
Schramm.
this director, I found out about this director through Russell because we watched.
Do we have the correct?
Oh, that wasn't the drop. There we go. Here.
Schramm.
So yeah, I found out. All right, I've added all this time to my 5 minutes. Don't tell me I went over 5 minutes and y'all do this shit. So yeah, I found out about his director because of Russell. We watched his movie called Der Todesking, and it's like an anthology.
Love it.
It's an anthology film of like surrounding death, and it's like all these little shorts. And I really like the way he told his stories and like his characters, because it gave like this real gritty feel. And his movies make you feel really uncomfortable without like just using like gore porn. Like he uses like subtle things that have nothing to do with gore to make you feel the same feelings as the main character. So
he ain't shy of gore though.
No, he's not shy of gore.
Jahsaudi, I think you're watching too much this heavy stuff.
No,
I think you need more My Five Wives.
Yeah, I do. No, and I was gonna click play on that when I was at the airport. So Shram, so like it follows a serial killer. Now, this dude lives a very miserable life. So let me just give you like,
Brother, I've been there.
So like I'm gonna give you just like a play-by-play with his daily life. So he's a cab driver, right? He sits at home and he does nothing. Then
how old is he, do you think? Is he
He's like 43.
He's probably I don't know, because he's white, so I don't know how white people
doesn't
age.
pay taxes.
You like that taxes drop.
It's good.
I don't know.
He's so close to home.
Like he could be 45, but he also could be 25, because I met a dude who's 25 who looks like him. So, but basically,
well, how old do you think Chris is on Isolation?
I thought he was hella young.
Yeah, you know how old he is, right?
Yeah,
he's 67 years old.
Goodness, baby face. So
ain't nothing baby about that.
So this motherfucker, so he just sits at home. His neighbor is a prostitute.
Oh,
and so
convenient.
When she has sex,
go to the bone zone.
Do they trade? Like, I'll give you a ride. You give me a. A ride.
Just know this.
They trade rides.
This is gonna be 2-hour episode.
So she's a prostitute and
he's a pedophile.
It's fun. I don't know. Are you having? I'm enjoying derailing him. This is dangerous. I don't know.
So
this is why it goes on. For
I
so
know.
long.
Dirt's King.
Randy, please help me. Help me, Randy.
Randy's been gone.
Randy can't get a word in.
R.I.P. Randy.
He's on the other end of the wire. He can't.
He's
Yeah, I've got no control over here, dude.
He's proving bread right now.
All right, so this man, so he has his neighbor is a prostitute, and so when she's having sex with her clients, he's over there. So her vent is like connects to his, and so he listens in on it while he fucks a sex doll, but it's not really a sex doll. It's like those floaties that they give you when you were young.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's a real fetish.
No, it's not a floaty, but the material is like a floaty.
Oh.
So
but
plastic?
So it's no, it's not just like he blows it up like a floaty. But it's a woman's breast and then a vagina. Like there's no stomach. There's
that's the OG sex doll, baby.
Yeah. But it's not actually it's not even a vagina, it's just the asshole. Like it's not even it's just a butthole. So he fucks that while he's listening to her having sex. So he has a very interesting life. It just shows.
Would you do that?
No.
If you had a prostitute
Doesn't that
next
just
door.
steam your snatch?
If you had a girl next door and you're hearing it, what would you do? You wouldn't pull out a floaty?
I would just record it and use it in the film.
You got like a favorite pillow or you got a lotion?
I'm trying to get a wafu.
What's a wafu?
A wafu pillow.
A waffle maker?
No, I'm not.
Clark would love that.
It's the anime girl pillow with a big
waifu.
Now
waifu.
let's go back to the neighbor that's a sex worker.
Yes.
Does it ever go into how much she charges for her jobs?
It doesn't, but
the price was right, $1.
She has a high price client that wants to do work for her, and he drives her to this client. He really likes,
but he fell in love with her,
and
then he asked,
and she said, "Fuck no."
and then he said,
"You're a big dick."
Yeah, but
they're using all the buttons today.
Speaking of dick, he actually does cut off his dick in the film. I'm just gonna spoil the movie.
I know.
So he does eventually cut off his dick. Well, he doesn't.
What is happening?
He doesn't cut off
now?
his dick. He has an uncircumcised penis, and
of course he does. Is in Europe.
Yeah, and
They're
so
not Christians.
So he takes the foreskin of his dick and nails it to the table. So he nails his foreskin, and it looks real as fuck. The part that I really enjoyed of the movie is that these two Christians come to his door preaching the word to him, and they want to like sit with him and talk to him about Jesus. So he invites him in, and he asks if one wants something to drink, some liquor. So he takes the drink. So while they're drinking and they're chilling, they bring out the Bible and they're ready to preach to him. He comes up behind them and he slits their throats.
Oh god damn!
Yeah.
So
and
okay,
he lays on top of
aliens from Mexico or outer space.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking about horror films of the past decade, and you're trying to watch more horror.
Yeah.
Are you trying? Like, what are you doing? Are you just doing like research, or are you like coming from a fan, or is this like artistic? Like,
well, like you talking about the reason?
Yeah,
why
we
I
like.
watched this movie?
Yeah, like how come you're diving in here?
Well, this director, I don't know, that watching Dirt's King, like kind of like it like pulled something out of me. Like
Well, that movie, it's got a interesting narrative choices. Like I know the one that I really liked from that short. There's a great found footage one with but the one that really struck me was the overpass. There's a bridge.
Yeah, I really like that one too.
The whole short is just shots of the bridge. They're hard cuts.
Are you under the bridge? Is Anthony Kiedis there?
Yeah, and the whole thing, they're just saying names, people names. And after like a minute, you're like, oh, fuck, I know what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's such an interesting way to tell a story.
Yeah.
So did you jump into this movie hoping you'd come out with like, a narrative epiphany, or Like, were you looking for foreskin getting nailed to a table?
No, I think the one I really like that one. I really like the other short that he had on there where it was like there was no dialogue, but you saw this guy like rolling around on the ground screaming, and hitting his head against the wall. And
there.
And so like even without having any backstory on that, you can kind of understand like you just only look at that and be like, damn, he must be going through some fucked up shit for him to be in that moment. And I think that director does a good job of like showing like the agony that like where like the human can go through, like the fucked up parts in your mind that you can go through if you're dealing with extreme stress. So to me, watching this movie, you really got like, it wasn't just like, oh, like this guy's just killing people. You saw like his life and you're like, damn, no wonder why he kills people, because he has nothing else going on in his life.
Yeah.
And so you get some cuts of his backstory of like, I guess he used to be a runner. So you get like slow-mo footage of like people running, but just their legs. And then you see him and then you just hear out like this repeat audio playback of like this, of him breathing heavy. And it's weird too, because certain parts of the movie, he has a prosthetic leg, but then other parts he doesn't.
I got to check it out. I haven't watched it yet.
And it's like really weird, but then it also from the perspective of like, you're also watching this movie from his perspective of him dead on the floor, because he literally slips on a bucket. He's painting the wall after he killed these Christians.
Yeah.
And he slipped on the paint and falls to the ground and is dead.
That's a lot of Sasquatch jizz.
He's a really bleak filmmaker. And I think, you know, Der Todsking, the most interesting thing about that is the anthology is framed by days of the week.
Exactly.
And it's so bleak and like cynical. I don't know. I'm glad you're into it.
I love it. Like it's changed how I felt, like my approach to filmmaking. And I want to make shit like that. Like I want to make shit like not like exactly like as far as like how he did it, obviously adding my own style, but it's definitely inspiration on how I want to approach filmmaking. So that's why I chose.
I think you'll be into the movie that me and Clark are going to cover then as we pivot away from you. Thank you.
No, fuck y'all. Y'all's turning me up. You guys was I couldn't even explain it because you want to add all the sound bites.
Let me explain something to you. In life, you've got the puppet and you got the strings pulling the puppet. You're the puppet in this.
You're the creepy Clark.
I am the puppet master.
Yeah,
Russell, you go.
All right. So extreme gore. I'm going to use that as a good segue. As I think last week we teased. Was it last week? It might have been. Fuck. It might have been like 3 weeks ago. We mentioned. I don't know how we got on the topic. We were talking about the virus, but we got on the topic of Cat 3.
Yep.
The Hong Kong genre of extreme
Cat 3 fever.
Yeah. So category 3 films. They're adult. If you talked about the triad, if you had
adult
nudity,
rated?
Yeah, it's like R. But it carried.
R is an adult.
What is R?
17.
Oh, really? I don't know our ratings.
Well, it's yes. In one aspect, Cat 3, it would be the American equivalent to R. However, I think there's an extra weightedness to Cat 3 opposed to what the American R rating is.
So there's a broad. So the thing about the Cat 3 thing is it's adult, but the parameters were very wide. It was basically anything, if you mention the triad, have nudity or violence, you're in Cat 3 now. But if you couldn't have real sex, that was it.
So Hong Kong is interesting, because just like in Hong Kong and Japan, I was also been on a binge on watching Dragon Ball. So I watched like the first 2 seasons. Dragon Ball has pedophilia, rape, like date.
Were you
rape.
watching it? Were you watching it subtitled or dubbed?
No, it was dubbed. But it was still like the uncut, the original, like all the shit. I just don't feel like reading all the shit.
They changed it. The story is different.
No, it's not.
It
you
is.
still see the same images. I have a Funimation subscription.
The context is different. No. So because
it's still the same thing.
The problem is here.
Bulma
shows. Randy, how you doing?
Bulma shows Goku her.
What
pussy.
Showed a who?
This girl, this 15-year-old girl shows this 11-year-old boy her vagina.
No, Shadi, it's been great having you here. But
I'm going to blow your mind here. I'm going to blow your mind. Now, Goku is actually kind of a villain. And the whole purpose of the story is he is always as powerful as he is by the end. Because, it's supposed to end with Frieza. Except in the American one, they adjusted it to fit a more standard protagonist role. So they make him dumb. And he's kind of like, oh, what's going on? He's not like that. He could have stopped it from the beginning. But he's got a complicated egomania going on, and he's a fucking dick. And we could talk a lot more about that at length, because I was kind of like, I'm like, dude, Goku's tight, and it's like, no, he's like a villain.
He's a villain.
So many people die in that show. Yeah,
I'm interested in that. I was just saying that, like, it's interesting because when you watch it now, it's like this shit is hell in a like this chick, like what was it, Master Roshi? This motherfucker, his whole thing is like, I need to grab some ass. Like every other episode, he's trying to grab a booty or some titties.
All right, Clark, you in?
Grabbing booties and titties?
Yes.
With consent, sure.
Anytime he's aroused, his nose starts bleeding.
I've been there.
There's a lot of tropes. Okay, now, Untold Story.
Blood tends to go to other places outside of my dick when I do it.
Like your ears.
Yes.
Okay.
You be shitting blood?
And my stool.
You be shitting blood?
Well, that's
you're right. I meant to talk about that first. Okay, Oksana reminded me.
You eat Chipotle?
Dude, he's been ordering that all week.
Ugh.
No, here's the thing. Sometimes you
real Mexican food.
I understand that, but sometimes I just want the Chipotle shit.
Yeah, they got cauliflower rice now too.
I get a bowl.
Okay,
I get a thing of the chips, and I dip the chips in the bowl. It's very satisfactory.
All right, Okay, that's gross. All right. Now, but you know what? I'm sorry. Before we go into the film I was pivoting into, I actually
I'm very hungry.
I briefly wanted to mention
You hungry too, Randy?
Yep.
What you trying to eat?
I don't know. We'll find out in like 2 hours.
Hey, have you been to Hot Boys? It's right around the corner from your house.
Hot Boy.
I haven't. I need to though.
Go. It's good as fuck. It's spicy though.
What they got? What kind of food?
They chicken sandwiches.
Hot Boys?
Hot Boys, but it's spicy. Like their mild is spicy. So they're like spicy is spicy.
Well, that's very confusing marketing.
No, they don't hold back.
Now.
Not the Hot Boys.
Not the Hot Boys.
Hot Boys.
Hot Boys. The Hot Boys are coming with
I thought
you.
you was gonna sing the Lil Wayne and Birdman Hot Boys.
Yeah, you thought I was going to sing the Little Wayne and Birdman?
I don't know. You come out of the woodworks with some shit sometimes.
That is true. I do have some deep cuts.
I thought he said Lil Wayne in Burma.
Let me tell you something right now. I can do all of Rapper's Delight right now.
All right, go ahead.
Do it.
It's 5 minutes long.
And
Randy's
already cleared his schedule for 2 more hours. So
I didn't say I cleared it. I just said it's going to take that long.
Okay. So I've been on a I lost my segue. I'm going to talk about a film that everybody on Instagram hated, and it was great. I've never posted a DVD that just got instant hate where people are just like, shit.
Oh, go back.
One comment is just
BMW motorcycle.
I bought this movie and I was excited. I went over to my friend's house. We sat down to watch it, and by the end of it, I said, "Hey, you just got a new movie," and I left it there. And I'm talking about 1975 Snuff.
Ooh,
it's I don't want to spend a lot of time here, although I do think something very important came out of this film. Snuff is a film made by Michael Findley. I guess there were audio issues with the film. The actual film is about a pseudo Manson cult. We got Manson exploitation going on here with biker gangs mashed in. There's a lot of naked women. It is painfully boring. And I mean, from like a modern standpoint, it's incredibly fucking boring. The reason I wanted to talk about it, so they were having Foley issues, and I guess they couldn't save the very end of the film. So it looked like they was about to get canned, but they had all this footage. So what they did is they put it together and they filmed a new ending. Now, the movie was Snuff, and they're trying to say that all the murders in this film are real. It's clear they're not. Yet in 1975, they filmed what I don't think had ever been done before, where there was a diegetic shot. So we leave the movie and we're now on set.
What's diegetic mean?
It's Oksana, you want to somebody pull up that definition? I don't want to try and now we have a camera that is
diegetic. That's a Church of Scientology.
It essentially means it exists within the film.
I could not find the words to say that. So it turns into an in-world camera thing. So we leave the movie and we are now on set of the movie.
So it breaks the fourth wall?
Yeah. But it's weird because now there's a lot of dialogue for it and people kind of know what's happening. But at that time, it's a hard cut. And now we're looking at the bed, but we see the lighting rigs and everything. And there's no clear lead.
Oh, is it like that movie fucking Angst?
Oh, kinda. That's a little bit different though, because we're in a movie theater.
Yeah.
This one is like we're on set. Okay. And also, they promoted this movie as real murder. Mm. And it's like, man, it ain't real. You know what I mean? We're watching a movie.
How do you know?
But now it's very clear. But now at the end of the movie, when we make this cut, the film language completely changes. And I don't think people had the words like I was giving horror fans shit for earlier. And but it's so different. And it's kind of like you're lost as an audience member. And you're like, what are we doing? And there's audio and there's people standing around. And a guy walks up to a girl and he's like, hey, you want to go get like food after this or something? And she's like, yeah, sure. And he's just like, oh, hey, yeah, the scene's like, it's pretty nice out here. And like, he's just small chatting her. He starts kissing her. And she's like, what are you doing? There are people around here. It's like, they're going to clear out. They're going to clear out. So he starts making out with her. And all the people on set kind of come to life. Like one of the girls moves over there.
She looks like Michelle Trachtenberg.
Now, another one, the camera moves in. Like we go to handheld and they're like filming. Now, some of the cuts break what they're doing. Like there are camera edits that are clearly like there was no camera there, like in world. Mm-hmm. But there's a handheld camera moving around. Eventually, she looks up from kissing him and she's like, wait, what the hell? You're filming me. And he pushes her on the bed. And he starts pinning her down. He's like, it's fine, it's fine. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? She starts screaming. And we go into like fucking Stephen Biro unearthed territory as he pins her down and essentially like starts raping her. Except
go to the bone zone.
There's really no penetration. What he does, he clips off one of her fingers and there's no cut. Oh. Then we go around, dude, they cut her stomach open. They slit her throat. And it's like, people at the time, the feminist groups were up in arms and they were like fucking pissed. And they're like, well, it's not real. It's not real, even though we promote it as real. And then it became this conundrum where it's like, you sold it as real. So now if people had never imagined that this could really happen on film, now they're thinking about it. And you've done women a disservice forever. And it turned into this giant controversy when really it was just a very minuscule trash film. Mm-hmm. But when you watch it now, it's like, fuck, they really laid the groundwork for found footage horror. Like just the language changing it's worth it. Now everybody, when I posted that thing, people were just like, fuck this movie, it's boring.
Is this an American production?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Again, it is incredibly boring for the first 90 minutes, but when you get into that,
is it still banned in New York?
I don't know. I can't imagine it being banned anywhere.
Let's go to our in-network New York expert, Randy Michael Stat. Randy.
Still banned, and I would say if it takes 90 minutes for a movie to get good, it's not good.
90% of it. I think it's actually we're looking at 90 minutes, I think, runtime. So about, 80. And again,
Giuliani.
I would say we got a Citizen Kane thing going on here where it's not good, but it's important.
Okay, let's take it a second.
All right, now I'll pivot back in. We were talking about Cat 3. Again, me and Clark, we sat down.
Cat 3 fever.
This second guest we ever had on this show, Kaja Ram. Yes. Still my close friend. I love you, Kaja. I don't know if you listen, whatever.
Kaja, I also love you.
About 15 years ago, I came over his house and he had rented.
Out of your term.
Kaja, I love you too. I don't know who you are. But
y'all haven't met?
Nah.
Okay. Now, 15 years ago, I came over. Now, Kaja used to worship Asian cinema, especially like Japanese. And he would always go to like the weird foreign video rental places. And one day he came over and he had a horror movie. And the only thing I remembered was it was violent in a way I had never experienced, and that a woman was penetrated with chopsticks. Ooh. And I just remember being like, whoa, what the fuck?
A lot of chopsticks.
And here's the thing.
More than two?
At the time.
Oh, yeah. This was not a single serving, friend.
I was newly calling myself like a horror guy. And I was kind of like, where the fuck do you pull this shit from? Like, I was floored. At the time, I was managing a round table. And I was there and I was telling people about it. I was at a round table. fucking great because that pizza cost too much money. I think the three friends did about 15 minutes on
It is expensive. But it's good ingredients. I like Round Table.
Very fresh. Every day we got fresh ingredients. Well, yeah. I mean, the owner said, "Hey, I know you're all eating for free." He said, "What I don't want you to do is drinking for free," because they had tap beer. Yeah. Phil Andre, love you too. Now, I was telling people about this movie where they were killing people and putting them in pork buns. And at the time, our delivery driver had just come back in from a ride. And he said, "Oh, that shit's real." Now, our delivery driver was named Hao. He was a big Chinese dude who had just moved here. And he went, "That shit's real." They caught him because he was dumping the bodies in a water tower. And everybody in the small town started getting sick. And I went, "What? That's fucking real?"
He was making pork buns out of people?
Now,
how was business?
People didn't complain, I don't think. They got exotic meats out there.
Let me tell you something. Not a big pork bun fan.
Me neither.
It's too much bun. It's too much bun. You got to get the proportions.
What's your take on pot stickers?
No, I love a dumpling. I love a pot sticker.
No, y'all are fucking stupid. Pork buns are amazing.
I don't like the clear rice shit.
Yeah, me neither.
That gel shit's a little weird.
Randy, what's your thoughts?
Like I had some shrimp dumplings the other day.
Randy,
I thought we were talking about like the steamed pork buns.
We are talking about that. I'm just talking about dumplings in general. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I fuck with steamed pork buns. They're good.
Dude, I would
I'll
not
also eat a dumpling too.
With either of you. Randy, I'll fuck with.
Why?
It's too much bun, man.
Nah.
Yeah, it's too much bun.
Says Mr. Waffle King over here.
Waffles is different.
Waffles are completely different.
You're Waffle King.
It's a texture. You get no. Let me explain something to you. I make the batter a little thin because I like a thin, crispy waffle. Thank you so much.
Okay. Now,
I like the thick waffle. I like the Belgian.
I don't like the Belgian.
I
love Belgium. Don't like the Belgian waffle.
I put a lot. It turns into dessert.
It gives you enough syrup. Like I don't like putting a lot of syrup, but once you fill up those pockets, you good.
Well, they're like me, deep pockets, baby.
Yeah.
Is that a money thing?
Yeah.
The price was right.
Oh yeah, that worked really well. No wonder you're talking about golf documentaries.
You should have played that.
All right. We have a suggestion box. Please fill it out.
So the untold story. I don't think we've said the name.
I'm trying to get there. All right. Now, 15 years later,
That's a good
I don't
picture.
know how, but it came up on the show. And I told all you beautiful listeners out there that I would try and get Clark to watch it. And I did. And here's the thing. I didn't remember the film very well. And we had just come off of Charlotte's Net. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like the only film that might be more brutal, I might undercut it. And I think it paid off.
They got kids in this movie?
Stay tuned.
There's a kid decapitation in the film.
Oh, no.
Jahsaudi, there's a lot going on.
Here's the thing. It's now I want to talk a little bit about the Blu-ray. Now, Unearthed put this out, and it is maybe the best release I've seen as far as just being a legitimate, complete, great extras.
Packaging is beautiful.
There's a full documentary, beautiful slipcover. The film looks great. And
excellent transfer.
Anthony Wong, the director here, or the lead actor, he, in a documentary that we'll talk about in a minute, has this little moment where he talks about the scene where he kills the kids, because I believe there's 5 of them. And I believe he actually brutalizes their mom in front of them too. Now, he talks about where he had to go mentally to film that. And it might be one of the best talking head moment documentaries I've seen in a long time. I'll talk more about that later. Clark, you hung out though. And I got a little worried when the children showed up, because I know you're a fan of kids.
The movie?
Yes.
I am.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Okay.
They showed that movie to us in high school.
So
Scared Straight, that's the program.
Yeah.
I sort of went in, with an expectation. And I think that the ground had been set. And I think that also you had gotten the word out. There's like, hey, I'm going to make Clark watch this Cat 3 film, which I'm familiar with Cat 3 films. And I think I've seen a few, but I had not seen this one. And I had known that you had been talking about this one for a while with the dumplings and whatnot. And that it was going to be rather extreme. So I prepared the best way I knew possible, is that was to separate myself from this plain of existence we have now, and went outside and smoked a little J. And
I
then
would imagine that would make it way fucking worse, though.
maybe it did. Who knows? who can tell? I would tell you that I saw it sort of telegraphs the murder of the children. So I had, and believe me, before we get to that point, a whole lot of other shit happens. So it sort of sets the ground for that, where you're like, okay, anything is up for grabs at this point. So just be prepared. And I think that, and again, in the documentary that Russell's going to talk about here later, there's a film critic who does a very good job of explaining his first viewing experience and his second viewing experience of this film. And I think that I would maybe fall in line with his understanding of everything, because you're sort of overwhelmed by everything to where it doesn't fully click with you. And then by the end of the movie, you're like, that wasn't that bad.
So yeah,
there's a lot that happens.
The story, it's an economic thing where we have a dude running a store and he's our protagonist, but
restaurant.
He's clearly the villain and he's unhinged. And again, dude, Anthony, it's just the acting has no right being that good in a film this brutal.
Especially paired with the police department that is portrayed in this film, that comes in a complete slapstick sort of mood that is set. Like, these cops are idiots.
It's Police Academy.
100% it's Police Academy. I mean, it is that slapstick broad type of humor. And the police chief always comes in with a new hooker.
Well, the police chief's like a movie star.
Yeah.
And then there's the tomboy girl. And then there's like the cool wannabe gangster dirty cop who's always hitting on the hooker that the star brings in.
Yeah.
And it's, you know.
And he's always combing his buzz cut.
And
wait, hold on. Can I say like a quick 5-second
story? Go for it.
So when we were filming out in Kentucky, we have a scene where one of the actors has to strip down to their boxers and run. They're running from one of the people. So we in the middle of fucking Kentucky, right?
Uh-huh.
And we had to film a scene where he was running. So we filmed it already and we were already wrapping up. And so we were across the street. So we're just getting a wide shot. And so after we wrapped up, we're like, okay, cool. And so the actor, like, he was still like trying to put on his clothes. A police officer drove past and then did a U-turn to come back to talk to them. Was like, oh shit. Mind you, the camera's already put away because it was already across the street by the car.
Yeah.
They were across the street. So the police officer comes up to talk to them, not us, because they didn't even see us filming. And so he's in his boxers, and the cop pulls up and asks, What are y'all doing? I'm still holding up the boom mic so I can hear their conversation from across the street. So he's like, What are y'all doing? And the actor's like, we're shooting a short film. But there's no cameras, no nothing around. And you just it's two kids, it's the two actors, and they're young. They look young. We purposely, like, they're like 18, 19, but they look younger than that. So you just see these 2 kids.
Do you have the audio? Did you save it?
No, I didn't record the audio. I was just listening to them. God. But it was just so funny because this guy, he has like this military cut, and he's like, "What are y'all doing?" He's like, "We're shooting a short film," and he's just looking at him, and he just drives off. I'm like,
oh, he left him.
Yeah, he just left.
That's good.
But it's like you didn't see any camera or nothing. You just see this half naked boy.
So what did that have to do with what we were talking about?
I just when you said cops, I just thought, yeah.
That's a good story.
Now,
that's a good story.
For a framing reference, it's a lot like The Last House on the Left, where we have protagonists who are villains, we have cops who are inept, and they're, the backing is comedy. There's comedic music, they're goofballs, they can't get anything done, which kind of emphasizes how bleak this is gonna get. But in Untold Story, by the third act, a lot like Last House on the Left, our perspective kind of flips as our lead starts being the subject of cruel and inhuman punishment.
Yeah.
This film is unrelenting, and we do a non-linear thing here, I think, to help with the progression of the plot, and also to not totally be sympathetic. Like, while we were watching this movie, I kept asking Clark, are they doing too much? Does he deserve this? And Clark just kept saying, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the actor is getting brutally beaten, and Russ keeps saying, does he deserve this? I'm like, yeah, no question.
Now, I will tell you, I totally had forgotten that at the end of this movie, our lead, who love him or hate him by this point, tries to kill himself. And there's one thing in film I can't do.
I am with you.
It's the wrist.
I don't.
What?
Yeah.
I can't-
Anytime I
you
see
don't like that?
the
I
slitting
can't
of the
look at
wrist,
it.
I can't. Yeah, I get weak here. I don't like blood. First of all,
Neither.
and especially like coming straight from the wrist, it does generally bother me.
So
And
that's
this-
your thing.
There was I have several.
It will
things.
also, it's again, this film has no right being this beautiful, this well acted. And then when you see a dude cutting out his wrist with his teeth and ripping his artery out with his,
Yeah, he's pulling his arteries
it
out with
looks
his teeth.
fantastic. If you're in this kind of kick right now and you're in
Yeah.
the foreskin getting hammered to the table,
Yeah.
we got to have some Cat 3
What
parties.
is it? Doesn't make like I don't know. It's interesting hearing people's like thing of like, oh, I don't like.
Yeah, it is weird, especially after coming off a true
Now let's go
murders.
back. There are two scenes I'd like to talk about. We'll start with the chopstick scene.
Okay.
It is a handful of chopsticks he's got. I mean, the circumference.
How big of a hand we think we're talking?
The circumference about like this.
Okay, so if you
Full of
walk into a
chopsticks,
restaurant,
and he jams it.
it's like if you had a mug full of straws,
Uh-huh.
and people were supposed to take a straw.
Yeah.
It's like that, all chopsticks. He took them all.
And he jams it into her open vaginal cavity.
Now, what kind of chopsticks we talking?
Wood.
Wooden, real deal
Yeah,
chopsticks.
But like, are they the ones that you split out, or they
I
already
think
come
so.
separate?
No, I think they're the ones you split.
The reason,
I think they
the
were
reason why-
separate. I think they were separate.
The reason why I'm saying that is because the ones that you like have to break yourself, that's splinter tear.
Oh, fuck yeah.
These look like kebab fucking real deal sticks.
So they're already like smoothed down and everything.
Let me
I
tell you
don't-
something.
mm.
If you had a pussy, you wouldn't want all these in your pussy.
Thanks for clearing that up.
That one hurt. And then I'll tell you, the most impressive scene in this is the fire scene. I
Yeah.
don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
Now
They have
I
real
had
fire
seen,
CGI.
Jahsaudi. If you see this movie, you need to see it for what they do with the fire. So towards the beginning of the film, and I actually knew about this scene. I had seen. I maybe think they showed this on what's that YouTube video, guys? The special
maybe.
effect guys.
Yeah.
Because I have seen videos of like, how the hell did they pull this off? To where the whole room is on fire, and we see a static shot of this guy on fire for 15 seconds.
And he's crawling on the ground.
Damn.
I mean, it is.
You know what? I don't think it was that scene that you saw. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Corridor Crew.
Yeah.
They did one with the Thing, the original one, and they also have a incredible fire scene in that. Very similar in like just pure hell inferno. There was another torture that they did. So part of this movie, they're going to sleep deprive our protagonist, and the nurse who's fed up with him because he's a vile human. She starts injecting water in him, and we're like, dude, that's going to kill him. She does it right under the skin on
That
his
kills you?
on his. Well, if you get like water or air in your veins,
It's bad.
it goes to your
That's bad.
brain.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, fuck it. It could
Wait,
kill
that
you.
was in the Omen.
It was
The
was it?
remake Omen.
So that
Yeah.
they're injecting water into his back just under the skin,
Uh-huh.
so that if he tries to lay down, it would hurt.
Giant water blisters.
Dude,
Ooh.
it's great. And again, coming off of like Charlotte's Net, which was real, chainsaw to the throat. This, I had a more verbal reaction to this when homie takes a fucking soda can opener to his wrist. Oh man, I can't fuck with that. Did you enjoy it, Clark?
It's wild. It's insane. I mean, look, yeah. Short answer, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe I would venture into it again.
Easy watch.
Because again, you say that,
It's
but like
entertaining.
it is entertaining
Yeah.
because Anthony Wong is just incredible in this, and look, some vile things, and yes, he does take out, I think, 6 children one by one.
Is this in like a Serbian film type territory?
Well, they're different in approach.
They're different. They're different conversations. So, and again, I think maybe an untold story could tap into politics that maybe we aren't aware of. I think anytime you venture into foreign film like that, that's certainly an undertone that maybe we can't catch.
That was a really interesting question. I have to think about that. The thing about a Serbian film is that's a art expressing a frustration with their government, because that film will never play in Serbia.
So
and they call it a Serbian film so that it can never be removed from the country.
When we went to Los Angeles to see, was it the 10th anniversary and the re-release
Oh,
when
again, Unearthed.
Byro acquired it?
Yeah.
As Unearthed, the director of the film was there.
Okay.
And then he said that essentially the purpose of the film is that I wanted to make a movie to where in Serbia, as soon as you're born, they fuck you. You're fucked as soon as you're born. So therefore, that is where the newborn porn aspect of Serbian film comes into, is that everything ties back to the political state of Serbia.
Oh, okay.
Where I don't think necessarily we get that with an untold story. However, I think ultimately maybe we do, because again, we're going into, this falls more into the conversation that we may have later with the documentary that Russ and Oksana watched. Caught a little bit of it, to where, the polar opposites of where we are politically between China, Hong Kong, and Japan, to where, we sort of bleed into that with the Cat 3 films, but not necessarily to that of the Serbian film degree.
Now, you know what? Let's just use that as a pivot. So on the Blu-ray, there's a full-length documentary about the Category 3 films. It's called Category 3, The Untold Story of Hong Kong Exploitation Cinema.
I'm sorry, why is it called Category 3?
It's just a rating system.
So Category 1's like G and PG. Category 2 is PG-13.
So that's
then there's Category.
That's China's rating system?
It's Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Oh, Hong Kong.
Now, this is back when it was still a colony of Britain. So that's why. So I had never known this, and it's actually super interesting now, just because of the current global politics with like China and what's going on with Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So through the 90s up to 97, where China took control over Hong Kong again, the rating system was Category 3, and again, don't mention the triad: violence, nudity, all the way to no real sex. In between those two things, everything was a go. So Untold Story is kind of like, how far can we go?
Yeah.
Like, let's fucking do it. And you get a lot of like political undertones that I'm not even going to try and broach right now. That's a whole nother podcast. But the documentary, now I didn't know a lot about it, and everything I just said, it kind of came from there. But it opens up, it's a talking head documentary, and it opens up with the history of basically what I was talking about just now. Then we pivot into a kind of recommendation area, and I think that's where Clark left. And I get it. Like, they kind of just hit all the big notes. Like, they talk a lot about Untold Story, and they have interviews with Anthony Wong, and it's really good. But then we pivot into the post-97 era. So when China took over, they actually talk about the indie market and what happened. And it's fucking bleak. A lot of people, they talk a lot about Jackie Chan and directors and how they all just kind of went to China, and China didn't have Category 3. They just had, if you want a movie to come out in our country, here are the rules you have to abide by. So you get Jackie Chan, who was, he was a Category 3 guy.
He was Category 3?
Yeah, because a lot of dude, can you look that up?
How is he Category 3? He don't do nothing.
I'm sure you've seen some of them.
Fun.
Because again, it's violence and it's just adult filmmaking.
He had his dick out.
Was it police?
He had his dick out?
Oh my God.
Which Rush Hour is that?
Yeah, right. No, so but again,
Rush Hour 2.5.
Now, if you now, if you follow Jackie Chan, he is very pro China. He comes out, yeah, big time. He fell in line.
Big government.
It's hard to tell what people really think, but he's been going along with it through the whole thing.
Even during the Hong Kong thing.
Oh, dude, he's got so much money, so many children. Yeah, he actually came out against Hong Kong when people were standing up for it.
Oh yeah,
he came out, pro China. Again, I don't want to get too much into that.
What do you mean?
All right, do not bait him.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I don't know.
He's a nationalist. He's a huge star. Dude. He makes so much money in that.
Yeah.
So again, the market,
he's Jackie Chan.
You get multiple billions of people when you make a movie. And then Hong Kong turned into this like little underground thing where you couldn't get any funding. I mean, they're talking about The Untold Story and how that's like a $3 million movie.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you can't make that back. So again, they go into how the market shifted. They go into like new Hong Kong cinema. And then at the very end, they start talking about how South Korea kind of turned into a, hey, come over here. Like, if you want to make these movies, we can do it. And they start talking a little bit about Old Boy and stuff. And they're like, here's where that culture moved.
So South Korea, is it more lenient? They allow you to do
They
more
were talking
shit?
about how the government would actually go 50-50 on a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And would just be like, hey, man, make your film. Yeah. So it's really interesting. And again, Steven, dude, Byro, thank you for including it. I don't know if Unearthed had anything to do with the production of that documentary. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. But I am not used to grabbing an Unearthed film and then having shit like a commentary track for a movie like, Untold Story alongside a full-length documentary on the culture.
Yeah, with Unearthed, we're typically accustomed to having special features, such as a guy fuck a car with an uncut European dick.
Wait, oh, yeah, you played that shit the fucking
Yeah, and you loved it. I
No,
remember.
I did not love it. I did not. I was
Oksana,
very traumatized. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Pull up his letterbox.
I was very traumatized.
No, Jahsaudi gave that 5 on letterbox. Pull it up. That's it. He didn't have a letterbox. Of
course.
That shit was that made the whole festival very chaotic. I remember that day. Dude, I missed that festival.
I wish. What made the festival very chaotic is that one of the patrons of our film festival said, yeah, that didn't even look like a guy supposed to be fucking a car. Like,
That's not what he said.
What did he say?
He said, I've seen a dude fuck a car.
Yeah.
That was not sexy.
The Travis Bickle looking motherfucker.
Oh my
Dude, he's tight. Car sex is really the dot on the exclamation mark. We created a film fest that I would have loved to gone to. If a film programmer came out and said, hey, we apologize for this one, but we got to show it. Nobody else is ever going to show this.
Well, the most disturbing thing besides him putting his dick on a car was the fact that the dude that was filming himself looks like the Santa Barbara mass killer. The killer.
Okay, can you pull up the Santa Barbara? What the hell is the Santa Barbara mass killer?
He went to Santa Barbara.
Did he only murder in Catholic churches?
Mass murder. Look,
Dude, that's good. I like that.
Inside Santa Barbara's that dude.
Killer's Manifesto, ABC News. All right.
Him.
Oh, he does look like
him.
him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I thought it was him.
Oh,
it was just creepy.
I mean, that just adds another layer of enjoyment. Also, again, the car sex, it didn't look that enjoyable. He's just like rubbing against the steering wheel and shit.
I'll tell you something. Nice penis. No complaints here.
Shout out to you, Santa Barbara Killer.
What do you score it? Out
car
of 5?
sex?
The
0.
penis.
Oh, the penis? Oh, that's a 4.5.
4.5.
Now, as a car enthusiast,
Randy,
I thought you might have, Randy left
Randy's
again.
been gone.
I'm here. I didn't hear you. There's too much talking at once.
What do you
do not know? All right.
I haven't seen the penis, but I rated a 4.
We have one more film to talk about.
We do?
Yes, we do. That is the film that we talked to our guest this week. Now, we had a sort of a truncated interview with our guest. I believe we talked to him for 18 or 19 or so minutes. Stephen Kostanski. Sometimes when we are trying to acquire talent to talk to, we have to go through different agencies and publicists, and this is one of those occasions. So sometimes we are given certain parameters, and that would include a time frame. So we only had a few minutes to talk to Stephen as he was doing his press junket. So we caught about 20 minutes with him. So that is what you will hear at the end of this episode. Our 20-minute interview with Stephen. We'll tell you that we are trying to work out a separate interview. Stephen seems down. So we'll try to get a more in-depth talk with Stephen, as we had a lot of things to talk about. Stephen is one of the co-directors of The Void, which came out a few years ago. He also directed the triumphant return of the Leprechaun series, Leprechaun Returns, which was a sci-fi production. Jahsaudi, check out Leprechaun Returns.
I watched Leprechaun in the Hood, but I'm down to see him anywhere else.
Leprechaun Returns is really good.
Yeah.
I reached out to Steven like a year ago trying to get him on the show, and he agreed.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Oh, I'm going into pre-production," and I think it was for Psycho Goreman.
And so we will spend some time now talking about his newest film, Psycho Goreman, which by the time this episode comes out, it should be out for release. Is that right, Oksana? The day after, yeah. So it will come out on Friday. So check out Psycho Goreman, which we saw an advanced screening of last week. So let's set the table for this interview, Russ.
Fuck. Oh, you talk about Psycho Goreman. It's kind of
or PG, as he's known.
It's kind of Monster Squad if taken over by Gwar. It is a 80s nostalgia piece that seems to subvert every trope of the decade worth of tropes. And on paper, there's no way I should fucking enjoy this movie. I loved it. It is so much fun. It's there are a couple of kids. They discover basically the Wishmaster's gem in their backyard.
Oh, that's a good poster.
And they now here's one thing, and I bring this up in the interview briefly. In the 80s, exposition was so important because stories were still kind of, I don't know, kids weren't as savvy as they are now. The most modern thing about this film is just the way that the kids treat everything. And they get this gem and instantly they've already kind of like keyed into, we know what this is. We waste no time in this film on exposition. And if you look up Psycho Goreman, you'll see PG or Psycho Goreman or the monster lead in this film. Normally when we're dealing with a horror movie like this, that's all you get. In this movie, there are endless fucking characters that all seem to have the same attention to detail. They're all thoroughly fleshed out. They're all interesting in their own right and could have their own film. And they just keep fucking popping up.
Yeah.
And the movie just doesn't stop. There's so many interesting things going on. And much like Untold Story, we're dealing with kind of a complicated protagonist, as the little kids aren't the like doughy-eyed children of the 80s. And honestly, one of them may even be considered a borderline villain. And dude, it's so good.
He is the villain. There's no borderline about it.
Well, let's talk about.
But they do a good job of humanizing him. So yeah.
Well, he's clearly. It's too complicated. That's a big conversation. Yeah. And again, I think this will be out by. No, it won't. It'll be out.
So Russell, to your point about looking at this film on paper and how you think that this would not be a film for you, I think that part of that is that when you deal with these movies that are sort of these big ideas, and sometimes you can run into the trouble of we're cutting corners here, like we're cutting corners with the effects. And with it, instead of having practical suits and whatnot and actors there, let's do some CG shit. There's none of that. Like it's all practical. Like there is some CG stuff, but
there's a lot of it.
There is, but it's underplayed in a way to where it works hand in hand with what they're doing overall. They're not cutting any corners.
I don't even know if that's true anymore. I think 10 years ago I would have been really into like no CG, all practical. But now I don't give a shit.
I would argue that CG actually costs more.
Oh, for sure,
guys. That's not what I'm trying to say.
No, I know. The reason I wouldn't like this film on paper isn't the CG or the thought that maybe they would mistreat it visually. It's the tone. Like when you look at that poster, it looks like, oh, we're gonna have a goofy slap action fun time,
for sure.
And we're gonna be winking at the camera.
The savior of this is the attention to detail and everything, and how everything again is treated. Is that it's all very succinctly done, and B, the writing is fantastic. The star of this is the script.
Yeah, Steven saved this film. And again, he said he wanted to make his movie. This is the movie he imagined he wanted to make, and that's what he did. He did everything here. And if you listen to the shit we say on this show, and you went back and you checked out like the Velocipaster, we're dealing with that. The film language is incredibly smart. The jokes are perfectly delivered. Like they're setups where you're like, oh, come on. And then when the punchline hits, you're like, fuck, yeah, that worked.
Great
There's
jokes.
No way it should have worked, but they fucking work.
Great family dynamic. And again, Steven explains this in the interview portion where we get the polarization between who's the real monster here, between the girl and the actual monster that we have. So Steven knows what he's doing. This is an excellent script. This is a fantastic movie. It caught me by surprise completely because for weeks, Miss Osachi was telling us that we had the screener. We need to start moving on this. And finally, Russell and I figured out time that Mondays are our podcast days. We're going to dedicate Monday nights to watching a screener or work about pre-production for the show. And Psycho Goreman just blew us away. It was fantastic.
Well, the name made me worried. I'm like, Psycho Goreman? What is this? Like, and in my head, I was thinking, is this like a South Korean, like, brutal romp?
It does seem Asian.
Oh, and then you look at the cover and it's kind of like, oh no.
It's odorous.
It's got a like Turbo Kid vibe. Tell you right now.
My favorite,
Turbo Kid.
Smashes Turbo Kid. Fucking kills Turbo Kid.
You think so?
Psycho Goreman.
I like the little.
Then you're gonna love this one.
I like the short. It was cool.
My favorite.
I don't like comedy horror.
My favorite is
right there with you.
There's not one that I enjoy.
Bullshit. Shaun of the Dead.
Fuck, that's horror comedy.
Yeah, full.
Yeah.
What about
I
like?
thought that was just comedy.
No, it's horror.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Shaun of the Dead. I that was a good one.
It's really tough. It's really tough.
You're also wrong about Butt Boy.
Okay, maybe I need to. No, because I did watch Butt Boy, but I think whoever. I know who showed it to. The person who showed it to me didn't sell it the right way, so I wasn't expecting, and I got really bored.
Put him on blast. Who showed it?
Josh, the director of the short film I worked on, his brother.
He also fired you. He demoted you to Boom.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right.
I need to rewatch Butt Boy because after you guys, I wasn't. I've watched it before you guys did the podcast with the director.
Yeah.
And then once you, also you guys got a new listener because I told his brother about your guys' podcast and he said he'll check it out because you guys interviewed Butt Boy because he really loves that movie.
I'd like to apologize to you, new listener.
I am very, very sorry, and I beg for your forgiveness.
All right. We done? I think we're done. I think Randy's very angry at us.
Thank God.
I can feel him through the internet.
I think we're all very hungry.
I'm hungry as shit. Once we start talking about Taco Bell and shit and making homemade
Nacho
gorditas, maybe I'll try nacho fries.
Randy, what are you going to do for a late lunch, early dinner?
I don't know. Probably a HelloFresh meal.
HelloFresh? What type of lame ass shit is that?
I don't got to go to the grocery store, dude. It just comes to me. It's cool.
HelloFresh is trash.
What HelloFresh meals you looking at right now?
I don't know. I have a list of 5 at the house I could choose from.
Randy, if you could hear your prostitute neighbor through your vent, what would you do with that?
I would record it and then put it in reverse and put a beat to it or something.
Hey.
Oh, dude.
That's some Lynch shit right there.
Make it an ambient thing.
Fuck yeah. Randy wins. What Where's that coming from? You're playing that?
That's David Lynch's 100 Balls.
All right, now play it now. Jahsaudi, make some reverse moaning. Dude, that's okay. That's great. Use that as our outro music. There we go.
All right, so stay tuned for the interview that we had with Steven Kostanski. Pull up his name so I can make sure I got that right. Kostanski?
Kostanski.
Kostanski.
You fucked it up.
Here we go. Yeah, Steven Kostanski. Great talk. As again, I hope that we can get Steven on for a longer interview here shortly. Stay tuned for that. There's a lot to talk to him about. I think, frankly, we could spend a whole episode on Leprechaun Returns, which is a banger.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. It's a banger. All right. Until then, we'll see you for next week.
Do the reverse moaning. Oh my God,
right,
you're fired.
Randy, you've got some editing to do. In this mess. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye. Hi, Steven.
Hello. How are you?
Great. Can you hear us all right?
Yes. Sorry for the delay. The last guy was a little chatty. So I just got off.
No worries, man. It's good to hear from you. My name's Clark, host of the show, and we got Russell here as well.
Hi.
Nice to meet you, Clark and Russell.
Russell, you going to get on microphone? Or you going to sit
Yeah,
back?
yeah.
There we go.
I just don't want to yell at Steven for being late right away. Steven, totally joking. Also, I'm kind of nervous. I've been dying to talk to you for some time now. I believe I started harassing you online after Leprechaun Returns came out.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I did not follow up on any of that. I am awful on social media in terms of like getting back to people on stuff. So
You're
yeah,
actually very polite, and you did your due diligence. I think you were going into pre-production on something, and I never actually followed up. Anyway.
Oh, so it's all your fault.
It's my fault. I know.
Your hands are clean on that, Stephen. You did good.
Yes.
All right. So, Stephen, we got a little bit of time with you today, but I know you're in the middle of all this this press, so we greatly appreciate the time you have with us today. So, first thing, Stephen, before we jump into Psycho Goreman, which we are huge fans of, and it's the reason why we're here today, we do have to say one thing here, Stephen, is that in this household, you are the man that resurrected the Leprechaun franchise. So we just want to mention that, and thank you for your service on that.
That excites me. I've actually, on a few of these interviews, I have had people mention that they're Leprechaun fans and that they like the movie, and that makes me feel real good because it's a bit of a niche audience, I realize, with those films. So yeah, it's nice to hear from fans that liked it and don't want to crucify me for making that movie.
Now,
it's
Stephen, I think it's important setting up this interview to go into Leprechaun because, oh man, so Leprechaun Returns came off of the sci-fi film, Leprechaun Origins, or I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it was horrendous. And the thing is, there's a thriving community of slasher fans who are very particular about how their tropes are handled. And that film broke every goddamn rule. And I mean, slasher fans give a lot of room when playing with these tropes. And you came back and you treated it delicately. You addressed every elephant in the room. You tied it back to the original. And you really brought the gore. And you didn't write it. And that's really what I wanted to ask. It really feels like a film that has your comedic and like dark tone. Can you talk a little bit about crafting somebody else's script? That's a good way to put that.
I didn't write it, but I feel like this stuff, for me, writing is only one piece of this puzzle, and being on set, like in the moment, you're allowed to like make on the fly decisions. And that's not to say I didn't stick to the script, but I feel like so much of the personality of a movie comes out of when you're doing it, that it just all lined up so great while we were shooting. And like the cast was so wonderful. I think they deserve a lot of the credit because they delivered what was on the page in ways that spoke to me. Whereas like some of the lines I read them, I was like, oh, like I could see this going two ways. I can see this actually being funny and charming, or I can just see it being grating. But just the performances, I think, elevated everything and just made it work, like brought it out in the best way. And then also being able to just enhance everything by having more effects. Those were mostly my notes on the script when I first signed on to the project. Was like, it was just a big list of like, could we have another gag here? Could we have like more stuff here? I definitely wanted more, because in the first version of the script I read, there wasn't enough of like the Leprechaun getting knocked around. And I'm a fan of a villain that has a look that evolves throughout the movie. And I thought that would be cool to have with the Leprechaun, is seeing him get gored up as well as goring other people up. So like him getting impaled through the eye, getting his head knocked off, the like shoe stuck in his head, like all that stuff to me is very, it's almost like Terminator-esque, like where you're like seeing the breakdown on the character throughout the movie. So I was able to, even though I was working for like a studio and a network on a pre-existing script, I was still able to inject all the stuff that I liked into the movie. which I think gave it a little bit of extra personality and just enhanced what was already there. So yeah, it was a project that went way better than I was expecting it to. I mean, on paper, it there's definitely red flags to me. There was is this really the right thing I should be doing? But it just seemed like such an absurd adventure to go on. And also to go shoot it in South Africa was totally crazy and unexpected. So just in terms of the adventure of making that movie, really made it all worthwhile. And the fact that I had free reign to throw as many gags into it as possible, really, just helped the experience for me and just made it super fun and allowed me to inject my personality into it as well. So I'm glad to hear that all worked for you guys.
We're big fans, and we could also tell to pivot to Psycho Goreman. It looks like your personality is full force in this film as well. Now, Russell's much more of a savant with the slasher subgenre more so than myself. And Russell was telling me, sort of giving me a brief overview of, you've got two different types of slashers. You've got the slasher, you've got the mask, and then you've got the unmasked slasher. And the unmasked slasher tends to lean more towards personality driven and more talking. So I think there's
Kruger types.
Right, exactly. Yep. And I think that we've sort of get a similarity there with Psycho Goreman, where you've got this your lead, bad guy is he does have a certain personality of his own, and he does have these little quips, but he is being controlled by these children. So they say one of the toughest themes to film is with kids, and you've got two here that steal the show. So what was that like with the whole project of really, the film sort of lives or dies with these kids, and they knock it out of the park, man?
Well, it was a huge concern going into the project. When I wrote it and showed people the treatment, everybody came back with the same note of yeah, this is great, but it entirely hinges on your kid actors.
Yeah.
And so that was a big stress as we were ramping up pre-production. So we cast a really wide net with trying to find our child actors. And weirdly enough, in the first round, Nita, who plays Mimi, she was one of the first rounds of tapes that I saw. And while at the that version of the character that she gave us in that tape is definitely not what was on screen, I still saw a level of professionalism and personality there that I gravitated towards and felt she clearly knows what she's doing. And so I would get her to do more tapes and follow up interviews and auditions, and I'd give her notes and she would take the notes, which is also a thing you have to be concerned about with kid actors, because they're kids and they're still developing into being adults, and some of them have varying levels of professionalism with this craft. And Nita was already just on the ball with everything. And so I was able to direct her, have these conversations with her, and she was not shy about anything, which was also a huge selling point. So with Nita and Owen and Scout, who played Alistair, the three of them, they just had the right attitude, and that goes a long way with me, is just having people that know what they're getting into. Because it's you could have the best actor in the world, but I'm not good at navigating tough personalities where it's you have to the performances there, you just have to pull it out of them.
Sure.
With Nita, Owen, and Scout, it was we had a bunch of Skype calls discussing the project. We did a few read-throughs, and it was easy to just kind of guide them into what the characters needed to be, because I felt like they were all kind of there already. Because they, especially with Nita, she's already Mimi in a weird way. She's already got that personality. So it didn't take a lot to push her in that direction.
No, and it really comes through in the film, because if she didn't feel authentic, I think it would have really hurt it. And I mean, Clark he's been crying to me for a year now to watch The Platform. And the only negative critique I had of The Platform was the child. And this is a minuscule rule.
Yeah.
She doesn't do anything. Yet it gives me flashbacks to Aliens. I hated Newt. I hate Waterworld.
Oh,
and it's not the child's
Hot
fault.
takes.
It's what they do with children. I hate the society's crumbling, but it's up to the children to bring it back. Yeah,
well, what you have to do is what they did in that Italian zombie movie Burial Ground,
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
cast a guy that's like 30 years old and be like, you're gonna play like a 10-year-old weirdo,
Dude. Okay.
now
Steven,
go bite off your mom's nipple.
now we're so short on time. I'm expect more harassment online because I'm gonna try and get you back on here for a real interview. But
no, I'm totally all for it. If you guys want to do a follow-up, I'm into it. Just let me know.
Perfect. Well, I have a question that all of our listeners are gonna hate. Now, are you a tabletop fan?
I wish I was. Unfortunately, I don't have time for really anything fun.
I understand it. Now, with the Gygax reference, where did that come from?
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, that's a reference to Gary Gygax, of course. I'm familiar with who he is and his kind of relevance. But yeah, as far as me actually playing like Dungeons and Dragons or Warhammer or anything like that, I'm unfortunately just a casual observer of those things. Though a friend did actually get me a Dungeons and Dragons manual for Christmas.
Yeah.
Because the hope is to eventually convince me to start playing.
Well,
so that may change.
Steven, I think you would like it. Now, the reason I was really hoping you would finally be the director that could back me up on this, but I think
he's tried every single one.
Playing tabletop games, they kind of give you a different perspective of how to tell a story. And a lot of it is with world building and giving a lot more detail to characters that are, background. And in your film, you play with perspective in a way that comes up in D&D a lot. Because when you're open to a platform that's, hey, here's a video game, but there's no rules. The first thing everybody does is they're like, okay, well, I'm going to be evil. I'm just going to randomly kill people.
Yep.
And it's like, well, weird, because now you're the protagonist, except you're randomly murdering people. Now, how do I react to that? And in your film, I was like, fuck, somebody's finally doing it. You flip the good guy, bad guy, and we're dealing with a little psychotic kid who's just got the nuclear codes. And yeah, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, when I initially came up with the premise of the movie, the whole joke in my head was like, because at the time I was sitting down and watching Rawhead Rex and kind of riffing on that premise and okay, what if this ancient evil is resurrected, but a little kid had control of it. So you're combining the tropes of this kind of dark, fantasy horror sci-fi with kids adventure films, with a Goonies or a Monster Squad or an E.T. And so that was the initial concept of the movie, but then it really started to gel for me when I realized the only way for this to work is if we have a kid character that can stand up to this evil galactic warlord that they've resurrected. You can't have some timid kid that's what I've been calling the Harry Potter syndrome of just being wide-eyed and innocent. And it's that's not interesting to me and that's not convincing. And so that's how I came with this idea of make Mimi more true to kids that I know in my life, which is that they're all a little nuts. And it's a thing I don't see in movies and TV enough is kids have a lot of personality before, they hit their teens and develop that self-doubt that everyone develops and become really self-conscious. When you don't have that, it's the world is your oyster and you can just do whatever you want and you make the rules and you don't really care. And it's just constantly a game of parents trying to force you into pretending to be an adult for a few hours a day. And so once I realized that Mimi could embody all of those traits that I like so much with kids, real life kids, it then became this fun juxtaposition of having PG be the evil warlord of the universe and then having Mimi be the evil warlord of her family home.
Yeah.
Where it's these characters, while polar opposites visually, are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And once that dynamic was established, it's everything just flowed out of that because that's where all the fun started to happen. And I was oh, it's funny having this little girl be so confident and straight up delusional that she would boss this thing around and feel no fear whatsoever about it.
Well,
Like, she does not give a shit.
That's honestly the most contemporary part of your film, as you do a great job kind of riffing on 80s tropes. Like the way that the children speak and their knowledge of like pre-existing IPs and like, oh, okay, we found the Wishmaster pretty much. We know what this is. And they don't even waste time talking about it. They're like, we know what we're playing with. Dude,
well, this was a
Go
ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I love it. You don't see that very often in films.
Well, this was something I committed to early on when coming up with this story, was I wanted to sidestep all of those boring parts in these types of movies, that if this was done through proper channels, like if this got proper financing from like, I don't know, Telefilm or something in Canada, like you would have all these scenes that executives would ask for of like, well, could you like explain like the gem a bit more? And could you like, I don't know, like you need to have more scenes like explaining what's happening.
No.
Like with like have the parents like understand PG a little bit more. And my commitment from the beginning was like, I am going to skip over all those parts. So like having the kids be smart enough to understand like what this gem is immediately, having like even like the scene with the parents, like when they meet PG, we just entirely skim over them being convinced, like having to be convinced to be a part of this game that these kids are playing. Like the scene ends with PG telling them that he's going to murder them.
Yes.
And then it hard cuts to everything's fine, we all get along. So it's like there's like a reel missing where it's like all that bullshit explanation that a normal movie would have, I just skip over because, and I feel like PG is basically my argument against those scenes is like, did you miss that part? Did you feel like you needed that? Because I sure didn't. Like when you're on board a story like this, like when you're into it, like you're into it, and that stuff doesn't pull you out. Like feeling this need to understand things because it's a ride that works instinctively, like more than intellectually. And I don't necessarily I'm not trying to say that my movie is dumb, but it is not a movie. It is a movie built on emotional reactions that I had to movies growing up and tropes and things that those movies had that work on an emotional level. And so that is the through line of the movie, where I also layer poking fun at how absurd those situations are, and that yes, they work emotionally, like the scene where Greg is explaining to Mimi, like giving her his pep talk, but he's also basically confessing that he had an encounter with a pedophile in a van. Like that, like it's like a scene that works emotionally, but on paper is complete nonsense. And so I just wanted to like, I just wanted to draw attention to that as much as possible and mine as much humor and fun out of that as I could.
Steven, you succeeded, and your film is incredibly smart. And again, you make jokes and you have plots that shouldn't work, and on paper I would hate. But your use of film technique and your timing is impeccable. Everybody needs to check this out. I think when this interview comes up, it'll be out the following day.
Yes.
So we'll be promoting it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Steven, we hope to talk with you again here soon. Thanks for the time, man.
Oh, I got one more quick question.
Oh, here we go.
Is it Wishman or Pinhead?
What,
Wishmaster or Pinhead?
Oh, I love Pinhead so much. I can't say no to Pinhead.
Okay, what about the Guyver or Orderus? Orungus?
Guyver, of course.
Okay, I thought so.
Always Guyver.
Fuck. Yeah, see, I'm warning you now. I'm going to bug you. We have so much more to talk about with this film.
Okay.
All right,
sure.
Steven.
No, let's continue this convo for sure.
All right. Thank you for hanging out. I know you got a bigger company coming up next, so.
Oh yeah. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Great chatting with you.
All right. Good luck to you, Steven.